Hello, and welcome to Revamped, a rewatch podcast that revisits my top favorite shows and movies. I'm your host, Brandon Alexander, joined by my co-host,
Courtney Autumn.
Venture with us as we set our sights on the infamous Hellmouth to cover 90s cult classic, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Follow along from the beginning, spoiler-free, as Courtney views the show for the first time and I revisit the series for new takes and a fresh perspective on its narrative.
Each season, every episode, in order, we will follow Buffy Summers and her friends to examine their character development, the show's underlying themes, along with its major story arcs, all while engaging in conversations, sharing our own authentic thoughts and feelings to what's unfolding before us.
So sharpen your stakes, load your crossbows, and join us as we explore the supernatural world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Let's get into the episode. Hey you guys, welcome back to Revamped. Today we are here to cover the magical episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Season 3, Episode 20, The Prom. Aired May 11th, 1999, written by Marty Noxon and directed by David Solomon. I want to say as a special note to make sure you stick around to the end of this recording for a very big announcement. So, we're going to leave that there. You better stay around. Better not leave. As we love to say in real life, you better not. So in this episode, as Buffy faces heartbreak and graduation's looming apocalypse, she's determined to hold on to one last piece of normalcy, prom night. But when a pack of hellhounds is directed to crash the party, Buffy steps in to protect her classmates, giving everyone the perfect night she may never get for herself. But she gets it. Singular guest star we have for this episode is Brad Kane, playing Tucker Wells. And his biggest credit role that I'm going to mention, because nothing else in life that he did was important, apparently, except for the revisits and callbacks to come sing, but he is the singing voice for Aladdin in all 3 of the Disney films. So he's the guy that we hear singing, I can show you the world, a whole new world. I intentionally, by the way, made my voice sound like that because obviously I'm not a singer. I'm a podcast speaker. True. Except in my car or in the shower.
Same here. I have full-blown concerts in my car that no one ever has a ticket to. For a reason.
Unless you're with me
exactly,
or I'm with
yes.
you. I'll be singing everybody. If you're in my car, I'm sorry. I hope you're excited for the concert.
Like, if you're in my car, you can get out if you don't like it.
So here we are, the prom. Beautiful. I know. I wish they could see our faces pausing because people have no idea. And I'm taking this in specifically too. And I wonder, truly if you feel the same way, and you may, but obviously we've watched this episode together before. We've said it since the beginning of the podcast, other than the Welcome to the Hellmouth and The Harvest. The Prom was the only other Buffy episode that you had ever seen because we went to, New York City and did the Buffy Prom that the Buffering podcast put on back in 2024. And to me, like, that's why I'm saying it this way. This specific recording is always going to be very sentimental to me. Even if it's not a good one, even if it doesn't land or like resonate in a deeper way, because I'm just coming in here to have fun today more than anything. But along with like that experience, going to the Buffy Prom is pretty much what birthed the podcast and created this journey that we're taking together through the show, because that's where I started really thinking about it. And like, think about it full circle too. We're at an event that another Buffy podcast hosted, and I had already been in talks, like talking about how I really wanted to do this, and especially after I came back, and I was like talking about how I was going to do it by myself or whatever the case may be. And then everybody knows the story about how I was like, Courtney, I'm forcing you to do it with me, and you're like,
I wouldn't.
All right, twist my arm and call me your
I would
bitch.
not call it forcing. You very politely asked,
and by that I mean I literally texted you and said, hey, you're going to do the podcast with me. But that was pretty polite, I think. I didn't say bitch.
No, I'm pretty sure you just gave me a rundown of what your ideas were, and then you were like, so, and the last part is,
You're doing
could
this
you
with
and
me.
would you do it with me? And I was like, well, duh.
Yay. And here we are.
I
are. I love this episode so much. And it's not really for anything going on overall, because really, truly, the episode's kind of blah.
Yeah.
It is like a classic monster of the week episode, and as usual, nothing can be normal or like even an event It can't be normal
No.
in Sunnydale. So like we have that whole theme running, but I think that's exactly why writing in my notes, like, you know, what do you like about this episode? What do you want to voice and stuff like that? It's kind of sentimental in that way too, because it's our last time having a high school monster of the week episode before the end of the high school years also, because they're moving, they're graduating. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's been the talk for half a season, especially now. We went through 10th, 11th, and 12th grade with these motherfuckers. So here we are, like, arriving at the rite of passage, and I feel like it pairs so well with the prom theme and that rite of passage. It, like, tail ends everything that these students have been through, and all that culminates into this extremely beautiful ending. And it's a good send-off for the senior class, and most importantly for Buffy herself. And that's pretty basic. Like, that sets up everything that it makes this episode enjoyable as just a small little standalone episode. It's got an awesome moment, and in true Buffy fashion, it has to come with some pain and misery for Buffy. It can't just all be rainbows and butterflies. Like, we got to make her think that she's not going to get anything from it too, that once again her now if anything, her prom night is ruined because of monsters, you know. And also, this is the footnotes to Angel departing the series as well, along with her growing up story reaching its major milestone in her journey. And it really brings stuff for the podcast, as I was saying, kind of full circle, which I'll mention towards the end as a little callback. It's a little breadcrumb for everybody. But it's one last fun time before we get into the end battle, and the last minutes of the episode bring a shared space for everyone to kind of collectively feel safe, commune together, and just act like normal students in this overly chaotic town with the Hellmouth at its center.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the easiest way to say, like, kind of what I liked about it. But how do you feel? Like, how did you feel coming back to it? I know we talked a little bit afterwards and stuff, but, you know, how did you take it in this time around? And what are your thoughts on the episode, truly? Because this is the first time we've ever really talked about what we thought of the prom. We didn't talk about it first. I was sleeping beside you.
You're right.
You know, having almost died on the plane.
I was trying to remember when and what sequence, because I think, did we watch the prom? We watched the prom before we went to the physical Buffy prom.
Yeah, when we first got to the Airbnb, we watched the first 2 episodes along, like while we were kind of getting around and stuff like that, hanging out, smoking, because we had got our awesome cannabis delivery, which was the best like thing ever. We felt so like bougie. I don't know, just bougie and like we could and legal, yeah. It was amazing. But yeah, we watched those first 2 episodes and we kind of sat there with them. We didn't like do anything else. We weren't really truly distracted. We took it in. And then at the very end of our night, I think we like went outside a few times, probably smoked more and like ate dinner and did all that stuff. And we closed off our night with watching the prom. That's most likely why I fell asleep. You know, it's probably 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm over here about to die from the flight exhaustion, because I like flying, but my body doesn't like the reset because it's not used to it.
Totally.
Yeah, I don't do it. And you were over here fine, like everything coasting.
Yeah, and I think just the anticipation building up for like the next few days, because we kind of had a few things on our agenda and we weren't home. So we were like in New York, a place we've never been. We were going to venture out in the city. We knew that much. We were going to the prom. So it was just like a lot to do. But I was surprised to find myself not remembering as much as I thought I did of the prom episode, which is good for now, for the podcast's sake. But also in general, it was great to technically rewatch, but feel like I was watching it for the first time, because that's more how it felt. I could remember little moments as I was watching it, but they were more insignificant parts. And I think I may have said in our last episode that there were things that seemed familiar with the storyline around Cordelia that I remembered in the prom episode. But yeah, just like you said, it's one of those, it's a fun filler episode, it feels like, but it also gets you somewhere, like you're saying, because it is that rite of passage moment with them going to the prom, as we already know before anything ever, that the prom is probably not going to go without some hiccups or some sort of threat to normalcy. So, and of course, it's always Buffy's responsibility to save the day. So it really just followed those same like key token things that the show is really good for. But it was enjoyable, and I like the fact that we're nearing the end, and it felt good to breathe, you know, and we're not just wrapped up in all these intense moments or chaos or one thing after another, where you're just kind of, you don't want the season to be over, but you're kind of ready for things to die down a little bit. So I'm glad we don't feel that way at the tail end of the season. And it was just more, we got to have fun. And that is kind of like the premise of what her whole kind of goal is for this episode, is that she just wants one night to have fun and feel like a high school student and unfortunately, it doesn't come without some responsibility, but at least she does get to have that successfully, like you said. So for that reason, it was a really great episode.
Yeah, I feel like the only other thing that would be interesting to speak on is just how much fun everybody probably had dressing up, and the direction for both like the literal directing of the episode and like what's taking place and stuff. Yeah, it was an out of the element kind of thing. I mean, they've done little small dances and stuff before, and other times obviously they've got to dress up in outfits, whether it be a Halloween episode or some other thing. And then also they probably had like a big moment for this too, just because they know like the show is moving in a new direction kind of after this too. They're getting ready to build up all the other stuff that's to come in the finale and stuff too. I guess this to kind of close off, what a way to end our last time kind of looking at the gymnasium too, because obviously this was held in the gymnasium, and like one of the first times we ever saw it was in Witch, whenever the cheerleaders were like, Amber got her hands on fire and like they were in there chilling and stuff. Buffy's tossing bitches across the fucking thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like if I was at the prom, I would be sitting there thinking about all the things that happened around the school, or like that final walkthrough. Like if you just got to like leave the school and you walk through the halls one more time, you'd be like Willow or something in the episode where Faith got introduced. And she's like, over there, I was sucked into a muddy grave. And up over there in the hallway, Angelus tried to kill me. And, like all of these things, you have all these memories built around it. So, I mean, if anything, this show has been really good for making memories, both for the physical nature of the actors, actresses, the experience of people watching it, and then us coming over onto the podcast to analyze it and talk about every episode up to now. I don't know. I'm gonna I know I'm gonna cry at some point within it, because I already, like I said, I know I had that little lump in the back of my throat, and now it's turning into an actual lump in my throat.
You jinxed yourself.
I did. I know. Well, I always get sentimental. Sentimental might not be the
I get what you're saying, though.
right
I guess
word, but that sentimental
I don't reflect
moment
enough on
at
the
the
fact that they're nearing high school, or we're so near the end of high school. Like in my head, we have X amount of seasons left of Buffy, so I forget in my head that like we're gonna be changing course, we're gonna be changing scenery potentially, like all these different things. So yeah, that is kind of sad. And now I have so many questions, like what the fuck is gonna happen?
I know.
Where's everyone
Slayer
gonna go?
predictions.
Yeah.
Well, of course, that's a future Slayer predictions to come. But yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense, though. But I mean, we had to feel this way in some small capacity. But to me, I was really excited to get out of high school, because I didn't care for nobody there. And I've never once went back in my mind and been like, oh, I wish I could go back there. Most people don't. But I have heard a few people say, like, I kind of miss high school and certain elements around it, whether that be seeing your friends every day or certain other things. And I mean, you got to think about that. That's probably, and we'll talk about this a little bit later in the mid section of the episode. But whenever you go to like depart from these types of things, you have to realize that you're not going to be seeing friends at the same capacity. You're going to move on and change a whole lot. So as a person, you think about that, of like how your whole life is about to change. And where it's going to take you. It's like white space staring out into the world. Now, a lot of people find that as exciting, but that can also be fearful. And the show being all about the theme of growing up, they really kind of hit the mark on these next couple of episodes specifically, but this one right now, because it's our last one that's not like intensity or like going towards like whatever's going to happen. Like, I just did, by the way, the script for part 1 of the next episode, finished it literally 25 minutes before we came in here. The first time you re-altered the time that we were going to come in here.
Yeah, I'll throw that in there.
Yes, exactly. It's my shade. So yeah, I was writing the script for part 1, and as soon as I came over here and opened up this script, I was like, oh shit, this one's like completely different than the energy that I was experiencing. I was like pumped after finishing like We Fade to Black and here ended the episode. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be fucking great. Like a whole thing. It was wild. So there's that. But yeah, I don't know. I love this episode. I'm just gonna say that 5 more times
at least
throughout the recording. And I don't really know how to close this off before we really get into it.
That means we gotta just get into it.
All right, guys. Let's go to the prom.
Will you go to prom with me, mate?
Oh my gosh. Remember whenever I texted you, though, and like said we should go to the prom? And you were like, is this your way of asking me to prom, mate? All them stupid. You remember like the Laguna Beach episodes? Where they would like ask each other prom. They were always doing elaborate things like putting candles on the beach to spell out prom ? Or like rose petals and all this other stuff. Next time I need you to
do that, or I'm saying no. You're like, well, good thing we won't be going back to New York. So there's no next time.
Yeah, exactly. That's that. We will definitely not be trespassing in New York, aka
Absolutely
going there.
Not.
But Where we are going to go is to walk through the episode right now. I can hear the music. We open at Angel's mansion as the score teased to us last episode plays. And now that might kind of click full circle in this moment when Willow and her was talking at the end of Choices, how I made the comment last episode that pulls on my heartstrings just hearing this score by Christoph Beck. Buffy awakens next to Angel. He's been watching her sleeping in a kind of creepy way because, you know, obviously he doesn't really sleep at night. So he's like, well, I'll just sit here and stare at you. He probably faked like he was going to sleep, I guess, to make her fall asleep. And then like woke back up and was like, I'm just going to stare at your beauty. But also, I'm going to stare at the fact that this is the last time I'm going to be staring at you for a while. You know, it kind of, when you really think about it. Either way, he's been watching her sleep, coming back from their, you know, post-slayage activities, because his home isn't Buffy being there friendly. She has awoken and starts talking about, you know, getting her a drawer and having some mirrors, you know, things that Angel definitely he probably has drawers, but he doesn't have mirrors in his house because why would he? So funny too, because they matted Sarah Michelle Gellar's hair all up on the side and she's like, I gotta go kill a cat on my head. And I'm like, okay, I don't even understand that phrase. I guess maybe she's talking about the claws or something like that, using it as a comb, like that's her version of a dingle hopper or some shit. I don't fucking know. But she's like, I'm going to go look in the mirror. And he's like, oh yeah, remember that we have none of those. And she's like, okay, well, this is the point that's going to help me bring up. We need some drawers. We need some mirrors. I need to bring my clothes over here, all the things. She also brings up how she could stay the night after prom and they can like appear more coupled and actually do coupled things, since some of her things will be there eventually, which also means that he is her date to the prom, an event that he's apparently unaware of, and him looking a bit plagued, offering in return like maybe it's about time that she head off after they have all this prom-y talk. Her thinking it must still be late and nowhere near sunrise moves to open the curtains, almost again giving us the 2K per sun play of Angel this season as the light nearly shines onto them, except it like blares right onto him for a second. Thankfully, he's quick and hops up into the shadows. This bitch apologizes for her mistake as we fade to black and we cue the Buffy theme. Now, 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 now.
Meow.
The next day at school, Xander is approached by Demon Anya, who hasn't gotten her powers back yet and is suffering from a case of the mundane and human rites of passage, even though she has nothing but discontent for the male species, aka the whole abitness lot of them, or whatever the fuck she says. The reason she's talking to him being,
I don't have a date for the prom. Well, gosh, I wonder why not. It couldn't possibly have anything to do with your sales pitch.
Men are evil. Will you go with me?
He's confused. She asked him to go with her, and she claims that her stitch is all his fault. If he had never been unfaithful to Cordelia, she wouldn't have had to come to Sunnydale and lost her powers and be stuck with this new human life, aka all these feelings. Which honestly, Anya raises a good point that we sort of might have possibly talked about along the podcast. This is all Xander's fault. That happened in the Wish. If he hadn't broke up with Cordelia, then none of that whole episode wouldn't have never occurred.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? We wouldn't have got Doppelgangland or none of that other stuff. Like there wouldn't be another alternate version of all these people. Not that this becomes problematic as time goes on. It's a one-up episode that they never even know about consciously.
That's
they never
true.
really truly
Yeah.
experienced it. But an alternate reality version of them experienced that. So if we go off the timeline of how alternate versions truly work, they stay there in that sequence forever.
Yeah, and then
It doesn't
that's
keep
still
going,
a
you know
direct
what I mean? Like-
consequence to Doppelgangland. So it's like that they experienced in their real reality. Yeah. And they all thought Willow was a
crazy.
vampire, so
Well, all Anya knows is that she really wants to go to this dance and with someone, and it might as well be him, because he's the lesser of the alpha males who has definitely been checking out her breasts. Which is so funny. She's like, I've seen you looking at my boobs, motherfucker. And he's like, and then she just cuts out. She's like, so you want to go with me or not? We cut over to him now sitting with Buffy, Willow, and Oz discussing Anya as an interesting choice for prom date, or the potential of the sock puppet of love being his date. Cringe as fuck, like, because aka this is his hand. Like he does this whole like sock puppet of love. He's like, who is this Anya? Is she prettier than me? I wish people could see me because I'm all doing the sock puppet on the fucking thing, or basically looking like I've got like Derek Curvain syndrome in my hand. Willow is very quick to point out if he winds up dead because of Anya that she's preemptively calling an "I told you so," aka Xander's favorite thing to say. And Buffy ends on how at least they all have dates now to prom.
Some of us are grow with demons, but I think that's a valid lifestyle choice.
And how she has a dope-ass dress to wear, one that's going to cause Angel to lose it. But not his soul, just to clarify, just his it. So funny how they put that in there, like as like dialogue too, just to call back to like the fact that Angel's been evil, like he can lose his soul. Like we didn't just hear all about this in Enemies. I'm like, okay, y'all need to calm down. We know this story. They're like, we have to remind you. So in Act 2, it really hits. We get another round of cutscene transition magic back to Angelus's. I about said Angelus because, you know, back to Angel's mansion as he wanders around during the day, finding a notebook of Buffy's displaying Angel and Buffy Forever drawn onto its cover. And I'm like, oh my God, flashback to me in like 7th through 10th grade, drawing and doodling and like whoever I'm dating every other week on my notebook, talking about me and them forever. I didn't really date anybody. That was more elementary school because I had a different girlfriend every semester.
Mine was, I was way more delusional than that even. At least you had real people. I was like, you know, putting like celebrities on my shit and people were like, okay, like you're ever going to meet them. And I was like, I will.
Like their pictures?
Like writing like Courtney loves like Avril Lavigne.
Oh.
Oh my God, that was
She's
my
dead.
wife.
You know that, right?
13 years old. Love her. Still to this day. Love you, Avril.
I don't even remember who my crush was at 13. Probably Sarah Michelle Gellar, even though I ended up homosexual. Whatever. It is what
now
it is.
Freddie.
But how cute though. Like honestly, eventually it transitioned. Like I was saying, it was like kind of like that smaller area of life that I would do this, and eventually I grew out of that, and I just started writing like My Chemical Romance lyrics and Paramore lyrics all over, and like doodling like creepy artistic stuff on it.
You're
like my art teacher was always disturbed by it.
Why can't I think of his name right now? Damn it! Why am I having such a brain fart? Tim Burton. You're like,
yes. Yeah, seriously, basically. I wish I still had some of the stuff. I have this one really cool book that my art teacher made us do where we had to put a bunch of pictures and write different things on like different things. You had to basically like insert stuff on the pages, like glue them to the pages or create them however. I'd take like 15 pages and like slice them in half and then restitch the pages back together and then paint them a color after I did that too. So it's got like twine going down. It's like a thick piece. I'll have to show you the book. I've got fuzzy stuff in there to touch. Okay. Yeah, basically. But less book and more scrap. It's in a book. Either way, talking about Buffy's notebook that she's conveniently left at Angel's house for him to be like, oh, I'm going to ponder their perception of life without Buffy and Angel forever. And we hear a knock at the door that echoes into the home. He moves over to find Joyce at the door, who has just decided to invite herself over. She's like, I'd call, but you know, you probably don't have a phone, just like you don't have mirrors. My daughter told me. She comes in and takes his home in with her brilliant artistic eye because, you know, she's like automatically commenting on how she loves his space and like all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I like a lot of space. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're stuck inside all day.
You need some.
And he makes that comment actually even. He's like, I don't get out much in the day. And she's like, yeah, you wouldn't. The way you laughed when you said that, you were like, ooh, kind of like a shady laugh. You're like, damn. But also she didn't mean it intentionally and ill-intendedly. She voices how Buffy spent the night there and he apologizes, but she's just using this as a waypoint to speak on her concerns, aka why she's there, aka why she worries over the two in general. Those not based solely around his possibility of turning evil again. She begins to speak to how he and her are from different worlds and how her daughters have to deal with a lot and grow up fast, but still being just a girl and also just starting out in life. Him claiming he thinks about that now more than ever as she's staying in Sunnydale, and Joyce steps to him voicing some harsh truths and what could be misconstrued as the negative vibes to be flowing.
Good. Because when it comes to you, Angel, she's just like any other young woman in love. You're all she can see of tomorrow. But I think we both know that there are some hard choices ahead. If she can't make them, you're gonna have to. I know you care about her. I just hope you care enough.
Very interesting. I've wrapped up this part to be a little bit of a discussion piece after the bigger breakup scene that we see later between the two, because that's where I'll do my callback that I wanted to speak about with what the mayor had to say in choices and all of that too. So we can truly speak about that there and talk about Joyce too, because, you know, this is very interesting that they placed this in this episode. So you guys look out for that. Sorry, I'm not talking about it right now. Just wait. At the library, the full gang speak on prom dresses. And I say full gang because everybody is in here, essentially. And I have to finish my sentence. It says, full gang speak on prom dresses, not demons. Because, Giles walks in and he's like, oh, is that a demon? Because Willow's already talking about, like, the fluffy thing on the shoulder and it's blue and all this other stuff. And he's like, ugh. And Buffy's like, can you ever get your head, like, out of the hellmouth and all this other stuff? And he chooses to steer the convo back to the mayor's ascension. Willow's pages having helped confirm that he is going to transform into a demon, becoming the embodiment of an immortal, and these plans are scheduled for graduation day. So they still basically don't know anything, except for that. They don't know what demon he's going to become. Wesley brings up as a concern for them, basically, like I was saying, bringing it to a tailspin of they don't know what the fuck is going to happen. They just, like, get this one little particle of information that he's going to transform. And they know, obviously from enemies, that it's taking place on graduation day. Wesley also voices that they should be more concerned by this matter versus the school dance, also dropping the bomb that he will be chaperoning the event alongside Mr. Giles, which Giles is clearly not pleased with this decision. Buffy offers her and Willow to go check April Fool's right after for a dress, and, Cordelia makes that comment pointedly to be like, oh, don't go there, because she shops. No, because you don't want to be caught at work and have this whole interaction with them like you want to have with Xander. Very interesting, too, that she gets that moment with Xander versus where it could have happened with these two, if it had played out differently. Once again, it adds to everything for their kind of story arc, which we'll also talk about later. Xander claims that he will be using some of his road trip funds for a tux, and Giles sarcasms the pink taffeta that he will wear versus the things that don't go with his complexion, stressing that they really need to focus on the ascension. I love how he comes through with this fucking bullshit too, because he's like, oh yes, I'll play with you guys for just a second, but then also, no, we need to fucking talk about this. Like, he's being a fucking sarcastic ass, which he obviously learned from Buffy. Buffy agrees that she gets it. There's miles to go before they sleep, but if they all die on graduation day, then, at least they have to look forward to something, that being the prom, as their last big hoorah.
One night of glory, not too much to ask.
We flash over to a home where a man is putting a VHS tape, a fucking VHS tape, dated AF. There were no DVDs right now. DVDs came out in 2003 or some shit. Like, I remember early 2000s still getting VHS tapes, like the X-Men, Spider-Man movies on tape, wrapped up under the Christmas tree. Same year, actually, I think I got my Claddagh ring we were talking about a long time ago, too. That was a good Christmas. And my Xbox and the Buffy game, all the great things. We pan around to a vicious demon chained inside that cage with its eyes forced to stay open, which I'd never clocked before. That he's got, like, those little prongs that hold your fucking looking like the damn doctor off of Dead by Daylight. Like, oh my God. How can you imagine, like, not being able to blink? I would freak the fuck out. You think your contacts be dry when you ain't got no solution in them? Nope. And I know because you wear glasses and I'm assuming contacts as well. So,
it's like
or
falling
have
asleep
before.
with
And
your
any of you
contacts on
listeners,
and then you get your eyes open and you feel like, I don't even know how to.
that shit's
Yeah,
crusted
you're
in
just
your
like,
eye.
then you're afraid to
Yep.
close your eye because you're like, what if I close it and it just disintegrates into my.
And it's lost. Oh.
What are you feeling like?
I always think
sometimes?
that's when you end up. You ever see? No, actually, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Remember when we found those kittens and their eyes were like sealed shut with pus and like all this other nasty stuff, and you have to clean it? That's what I imagine happens when people wake up after sleeping in their contacts.
And what this dog must feel like with his eyes open like this.
Literally, he's gonna have a fucking staph infection in his eye.
No,
Like his
but listen,
retina is no
real
longer.
quick.
No wonder he's pissed off.
Yeah, that's the point. But one time I was having oral surgery and it was like on.
I thought you was gonna say another type of oral.
Anyway,
Keep going.
so
I'm so
I
sorry.
was
My ADD
getting
is
my
caught.
it was like for my first like front 4 teeth, and when they put the Novocaine in, they had to like do it right here, and he hit a nerve that controls this eye right here, so the entire time after that this eye went numb and I couldn't blink. So it just literally stayed open because I had like no motor function over it. So it just like, and it kept watering, and then eventually like they just had to keep like wiping my tears away.
So then they put you in the makeup for this episode and sent you over to film Buffy since your eyes were already fucked up.
Basically, yeah. They were like, you know what, this bitch
bother.
can't blink anyway, so let's go with that. We don't even need the seed.
Yes, let's make Courtney a hellhound. Yes, exactly. Well, we also really know how it feels because, he's forced to watch a TV in front of him and posted up in front of the cage. And he's very much clearly freaking out, not only from what we just described, but triggered by the images that he's watching on the TV. And we're not shown what that is yet. We're like, what the fuck is this shit? And then me and you, while we're watching, we ever talking about AKA me when something doesn't go my way, or me when I haven't smoked some weed. And we ran off back and forth talking about me this, me that. Like, it was really funny. That should have been something that I recorded while we were doing that. But it's, you know, it is what it is. That's just funny, but it really is me in my most dramatic moments. That's how I be acting.
And then we were also like Xana.
Like a crazy. Yes, the callback.
At this point, yes.
Us always throwing the shade at this poor bitch. How does she know that she was going to be famous on our podcast?
You wonder if anyone Googled Xana. Who is this Xana that they keep talking?
Please don't. I ain't got to worry about Xander slander. It's Xana slander over here. She might as well be Xanader slander. Okay, speaking of triggering images, we next find Angel dreaming in his home of he and Buffy being wed in a church. Buffy's nails, I noticed for the first time, are painted basically the same color as her gown.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that.
Never, because they're holding hands, so you see her hands up close. You know, we don't usually see her hands that close up. And instead of noting it later, I'll go ahead and note it now. Whenever they're in the sewer tunnels later, too, the blushy kind of like pink tone of a top that she's wearing during that scene with the sparkly sequins on it, that is also about the same color as her prom gown as well. So they're putting her, like, they're kind of like teasing us with what her dress might look color-wise and stuff, I think. Maybe, which obviously her nails are probably already painted to match that. Maybe they're filming the episode.
Well, that's usually how
it's kind of around
anyway.
that. They just went ahead. Yeah. They kiss and then they're married and they walk outside of the church into daylight. Angel is hesitant as the music grows very dark and ominous. It's like that. Boom, and then damn like things would be like oh like those like churchy kind of sounding like gothic horror like choir kind of kick. Yeah. Only when he steps out into the sunlight he doesn't burn. He looks over to poor Buffy, who bursts into flames, incinerating, reaching out to him. Angel. And then this bitch explodes and he awakens gasping. Pretty cool effect. That's awesome CGI. That's a cool sequence because like you see that like the burns start on her chest and then like as she decays, like eventually you see her skeleton kind of like turn almost basically like a vampire 2K per slay for Buffy. I should have wrote we got the 2K per slay of Buffy, the 2K per sun slay of Buffy instead of Angel. Like fuck, full circle. I did it. Love it. Obviously, this is like a representation, though, of what Angel feels will happen if he stays with Buffy, because he's had the stuff coming off last episode. He's seeing this notebook. He's got taught from Joyce that's kind of permeating in his mindset. And he understands that he'll be keeping Buffy away from the light if they stay together. So I think that's what the symbolism of light is within this dream sequence and how it affects her versus him as it normally would. It really brings in what Mayor said full circle. But otherwise, you know, she would be in the darkness with him and not in the light too. And basically he's having a come to light moment as well. But, you know, Angel, I think, is realizing that he can never give her a normal life. Not that Buffy will ever have one, because she's a slayer. But Angel thinks that Buffy deserves to be with someone who can go out in the sun with her, have sex with her, grow old with her, all things we physically kind of numerous times heard the first 3 seasons. So it's kind of interesting how they bring this kind of thing back up and then they close off this. It's so cool. I love it. You know, truly, like when you really think about it, all this stuff is once again pinpointed and tracked across the series. And here we are to basically move into our next scene and get our final dose of triggering. Because we later find them walking through a sticky sewer tunnel, him and Buffy, down there searching for a vampire that fled from them on patrol. She attempts small talk about the prom and Angel needing a tux, but he wants to focus on patrol, not a dance.
Sorry, Giles. Just be quiet.
Come on. Don't be that way.
Not now.
The vamp drops down when they're in the midst of this like awkward exchange. And I love how she stakes him. She's like, not now. Because this bitch is irritated and they are about to clearly get into some discussion. This is literally the wrong time. Normally this would have been like probably a quick little fight or something like that. But she's on point with it. She's like, I ain't got time for your bullshit. I'm doing this bullshit.
She's got to prioritize where her attention goes to.
Exactly. And she raises the issue of every time that she brings up the prom, he seems to get grouchy. He apologizes and voices a concern of her getting too invested in this whole thing. I like this specifically because she's like, what whole thing? Going to a formal, graduating, quote, growing up? Isn't that the type of stuff that she's supposed to get invested in? But we know exactly what he meant. And she's about to, because he has something face. And then he says the words that we all hate to hear, and no spells doom for a relationship. I think we need to talk. But not here, not in the sewers, later. She claims like we all would, because once you tell me we need to talk, you're going to talk about it right now. You don't text me in the middle of the day and be like, hey, later on, can we get together and talk about something? No, you need to text me and tell me what it's about right now, if anything. And if it's anything that's going to create anxiety in me all day, know that I'm coming to your house like Joyce uninvited and going to be on your doorstep or calling you on the phone like at back to back to back. If you're at work, I'm showing up like Xander at Cordelia's job, like, we talking. You know? Nope. And when I show up, I'm going to be acting like that hellhound. Either way, she claims if he has something to say, then he should go ahead and say it versus waiting. He claims that he's been thinking about their future, and the more that he does, he lands on them being together is unfair to her. She quickly tries to affirm if this is about the mayor's comments to them and how they were just words to shake them up. True, but also that's Buffy not wanting to see what's right in front of her. She's choosing in this moment kind of to not grow up, to not act like an adult, to not have a conversation while stressing about wanting to have a conversation. Angel claims that he was right. Buffy in denial claims that he's the bad guy. He can't be right. Excuses. Angel goes on to say that she deserves more, something outside of demons and darkness, someone who can take her into the light, someone who can make love to her. She expresses no care for those things, but he says that she will care about them one day, about a normal life. Tears begin to well in her eyes, and this is the part that gets triggering for us as a watcher, especially when you love Sarah Michelle Gellar, because she plays Tears like no other queen does. Knows how to act her. She knows her strengths, and Tears are definitely one of them. Like, as we always say, when she cries, I cry. I'm assuming we is a universal. You know, Courtney didn't cry for this scene. She was like, "Fuck Angel, he's out of here." Like,
literally,
bye.
Yeah.
As soon as he was like, "Driving break out," which was low key stressing me out because I was like, "Courtney, you're supposed to be crying, not being like, bye, Angel." But I think at this point, you're just kind of like done with it. You're ready for it to be out of here, which is fair. But also, like, I'm like wrapped into the Angel life, and I'm just like, I had to tell you that after we recorded. I was like, I think about all the things after, you know, like this, that, and the
but
other.
you also know what's coming, and I don't. So I'm just like, I'm reacting from like the way that I would naturally if I was Buffy, and I'd be like, well, I guess it's time to leave the sewers, never see each other again. Don't even think about doing anything that has anything with me to do with it. Like, delete my number, block my shit, fuck off.
Courtney, this is the shit your therapist talks to you about.
She agrees with my notion on those. She says my boundaries are firm.
Oh. Well, I'm not hating on it.
I do give you
two
2 passes. I'm a very much 2-pass girl. Angel's passed the 2 passes, so now I'm like, this is your 3rd strike. You're fucking out. Bye.
Well.
Anyway.
So meanwhile, I'm over here crying, and Courtney's over here saying all this shit, and I'm like, okay, we need to shut up for a minute. She claims that's not something she will never have. And he notes that she will always be the Slayer. More than enough of a reason for her to get out of this freak show of a relationship. She turns to leave as he grabs her arm, apologizing for his harsh description. And the rest of the scene plays out pretty much like this.
I'm sorry, Buffy. You know how much I love you. It kills me to say this.
Then don't. Who are you to tell me what's right for me? You think I haven't thought about this?
Have you? Rationally?
No, of course not. I'm just some swoony little schoolgirl, right?
I'm trying to do what's right here, okay? I'm trying to think with my head instead of my heart.
Heart? You have a heart? It isn't even beating.
Don't.
Don't what? Don't love you? I'm sorry, you know what? I didn't know that I got a choice in that. I'm never gonna change. I can't change. I want my life to be with you.
I don't.
You don't want to be with me? I can't believe you're breaking up with me.
It doesn't mean that I don't.
Turns away aggressively. Turns back, full of love and light. How am I supposed to stay away from you?
I'm leaving. After the Ascension. After it's finished with the Mayor and Faith. If we survive, I'll go.
Where?
I don't know.
Is this really happening? And scene. I hope you guys like that. So extra. Obviously, this hurts so much more. When I watch this by myself, I feel so bad for it because I think about all the time when they danced together and she burned the cross into his chest and he let it happen. The fact that she killed him and then he went evil before that. Like, this season has been so struggling for them, but it's also a breath of relief that we don't have to worry about this anymore because, you know, we get to move past it. And these bitches, we found them later on in the night as she sits outside her bedroom window on the roof, appearing sad, and he's at home brooding by a fire. This kind of brings in a good part of the discussion. I was going to speak on it last episode, but I wanted to connect all of this at once from Choices to the prom. At the beginning of Choices, Buffy is complaining that Angel and herself are stuck in a rut. And she asks, like, is this what our future holds? Nothing but fighting and violence, darkness, all the things. While the scene is played as a couple trying to improve their relationship, what it's actually doing is subtly putting the final nail into their relationship, all of Choices, because it starts there and it culminates in what the mayor says. And it's a prelude to what the mayor tells them later in the episode at that. And I think he genuinely wanted to give them both advice on what a relationship is like, where one person is immortal and the other person isn't. It's very interesting. The mayor, our villain, has experienced this before. He had it to resonate with and to call out to them, you know, because he's lived it with his former wife. And he has firsthand experience on what they have to look forward to. The mayor gives Angel, he brings in that reality check to cash. We're going to put it that way. I ain't even going to say what I wrote. That sounds better. all of these fears that Angel has been having but running away from pretty much all season, and this bigger question of who he is comes up, and the mayor brings all of that to the forefront because he calls Angel selfish. He asks Angel what kind of life that he can offer Buffy, things that he always questions in general since the beginning of the show. He tells Angel that Buffy deserves better from life than what he can offer her. A big ouch, but as harsh as the mayor is with Angel, everything that he says is true. And like I said, Mark Field said, you know, if you were listening to the speech that he was giving, you were kind of nodding your head around being like, oh yeah, like I'm in agreement with you right now. And you can tell just by looking at the faces of Angel, Buffy, Willow, Xander, and Giles in the room in that scene that they also know it's true. And as much as they want it, there's no happy ending on the horizon for Buffy and Angel. And that's why it feels like a breath of reprieve getting this ending. Because as a couple, that's just not going to happen for them. And it's kind of heart-wrenching to watch, especially your first time really viewing it, especially if you really love the show, no matter the people in this show, as we tend to like the toxic couples on TV shows. But it's a conversation that really needed to happen, and it had been a long time coming. And it's backed up now in this episode when the fatherly figure, the evil version of it, regardless, in last episode was speaking to them. Joyce, the mother figure, comes to specifically talk to Angel in this episode and is talking about how he's holding Buffy back as well. She doesn't know about what the mayor said. She's come to these conclusions on her own too because she sees it. Now, I don't know I don't know if it was just the fact that Buffy stayed over that kind of triggered these thoughts for Joyce, or how really that worked out in Joyce's mind to get her over there. Plot point, plots to be derived, all that sort of thing. But in that scene too, the mayor also asked Angel if being with Buffy is what he came back from hell for. Is that your greater purpose? And I think that this comment is what finally prompted Angel to leave Sunnydale to search for his greater purpose and basically create his redemption arc, planting the seed. And the mayor inadvertently did something really great in his speech with that in that episode, which is great because it directly led to Angel's choice here, the decision to leave town and start his own show. I mean, undead life, whatever you want to fucking call it. You get the idea. I do also want to mention, for your knowledge really of knowing, and for anybody else that doesn't know with listening, but I feel like a lot of people would, Sarah Michelle Gellar had such a hard time after this scene because she's a big Angel shipper. She'd always loved her scenes with David. And this was sentimental to her that he was going to be leaving the show because he had been this big part of it. He started this journey with her. He was the second half of her. Not just in the totality of like the show, but her love partner, most of her scenes, like in
it
her
drives the huge
dramaticness
part
and
of
stuff
the
like that.
storyline also.
That's the whole history.
Yeah.
Exactly. And whenever they closed off this breakup scene, they had to close down the set for like 25 minutes so Sarah could collect herself because she couldn't stop weeping from Buffy. Like, talk about being invested in your character and its story and believing in her story too. That's crazy. Like, insane that happened. And I'll like pretty much, I guess, close out my comments too by saying I think this is a perfect real life moment because Buffy speaks. This is the stuff that she's supposed to be invested in with her life, ending her statement with growing up, as we started to say. And it's all something that we typically have to face growing up. We kind of started to say it a little bit earlier in a way, like endings, whether that be relationships, friendships, career, and all that.
Yeah. The play on the timing and their timeline of where Buffy's at in life, but how common it is of a theme that breaking up can sometimes be attached to things like graduation, because 9 times out of 10, you can have this really, even if you just started dating someone your junior or senior year, they don't even have to be your high school sweetheart. There does come that time, if you are dating someone by the time you're going to graduate high school, where the trajectory of your lives might look different from that point forward. Whether it's you already got accepted to one school that's further away from your significant other at the time, and that's usually the driving cause, I think, for most couples to break up at that time. But it made me think about how attached that theme is to graduation, when it's already, like we're saying in the show, how it's mirrored how many choices are coming up in your life when you're reaching adulthood. And that's why it's called adulthood, because it's the first time you're at an age where your parents aren't really, they might be guiding you to a certain extent, but for the most part, the goal is for you to start making your own decisions and
be responsible for yourself.
And like choosing a college, getting accepted into a school, deciding what you're going to do for work, deciding if you're going to move out of your hometown, deciding if what you're going to do if you stay there and all your friends go off and do other things,
and there's no guiding hand in that anymore.
It's up to you. Yeah. And a lot of times that seems as exciting as it is. And I think as much as we look forward to that our entire childhood, when those moments actually come, it's pretty fucking scary. Especially if you don't have all the answers and you're more kind of in Xander's position where you're probably going to be stuck at your hometown for a while and you don't have the option for 5 different colleges to get you out or whatever. And it's a more limited journey. And I think that's what most of us actually go through. But then for the ones like Buffy, where she could leave. She can't because she's stuck there by duty. But either way, it's like she's facing this hardship that's so connected with graduating and with moving on because she has a relationship. And it's weird that she isn't a normal high school student. She's not moving away to go to school. She is staying where she's at, and she's still having to deal not just with all her Slayer duties, but with something so normal like breaking up at the worst fucking time possible when she's already having kind of a hard time. And she's least expecting it, because from her end it probably looks like Angel's a huge fuckboy who just saw her notebook and freaked out that she wrote Buffy and Angel forever, and he's like, oh no we don't, no we're not, so it's like from her angle, I don't think when you're in an emotional situation like that, I don't think you're thinking about the logistics of the fact that this person's actually trying to do something so good for you and be like, you know what, you're going to thank me for this later in hindsight. And I'm old enough to know that. I'm mature enough to know that. It pains me to know that. But that's like the weight of those adult choices at the end of high school, no different than normal couples like I'm referring to that have to say, okay, well, our relationship is actually so perfect. We love each other so much. I love you, you love me. But there's this hardcore difference that's going to change the trajectory of how we work together, whether it be physical distance or whatever the case. It really sheds light on how normal these emotions can be at this chapter that's already so kind of heavy for you as a young adult. Because not only are you having to deal with that, but even if your boyfriend or girlfriend was going to the same college, you still have to face the fact that either your friends are leaving or you're leaving. So you're leaving something or it's leaving you. Your life is changing greatly from that moment somehow. So it's just interesting that the show is so good for that they always mirror such normal life emotions and problems exactly with the timeline of when you'd be dealing with them in reality.
That never ends with life. Like the cycles always end, and this space it can be created at any moment in life, across life. Like I was literally just thinking to myself while you're talking about that, like things that have happened for me just in the last few years that are very,
and that's
much
part
like
of it too, is
where you cried more,
and your awareness, I think, I think you're in your 30s, you know, like you are having this epiphany now. I think that you're well into adulthood before you realize that from those young adult moments on, those cycles never, you're always going to have hard choices. You're lucky when you get 5 years of time where your life is normal and you don't have to have those chapters, you know? And quite frankly, in my opinion, it's so healthy, because that means you're evolving. That means you're shedding, it's like a snake. You're shedding your skin to become something greater, you know. It's kind of like that. So you have to embrace that, you know. And I think that I wish that they would teach you that at 17 as opposed to when you're like 35 and learning it on your own.
No one can teach you that,
But at
though.
least
Like,
I wish
it
someone
is
would
gonna
say,
occur, but
don't anticipate this will change, because I think that's what leaves us disappointed as young adults. You know, I
yes.
think somewhat more adults should say, in the most non-cynical way, do not expect hard choices to stop. You know, because that would be the greatest advice, because then at least we know when they happen, it's just a part of life and we don't have to take it personally like a lot of people do when hard choices have to be made and they're not
Shit
comfortable.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the sucky part is like kids often grow up all of life, one being guided, like we were talking about, having a helping hand, and also getting unrealistic expectations. That was something I learned in life, like along my spiritual journey, also while I was a hairdresser, living my mundane life, just delivering an expectation that was realistic to my clients, like how their hair is going to turn out today. You're not going to go from black to blonde in women, and having a setup for that. That engaged me to be able to speak and like rationalize a truth around that. But also, like now, just in this moment thinking about it, I might not have really been thinking about it then the way I am now. But because of everything that I've been through and because of my journey and the growth that I've experienced and like the mature adult mindset around that type of stuff, and knowing that I have to do what's going to be best for me. And I know, like, even if it is a hard challenge, like what you were kind of saying, that you come out like with that perception of like, this is going to feed a future essence of myself or make me the better version of myself that I'm aiming to be next, especially when you're super conscious and aware of what's going on. And then you can be in gratitude for that after. You said something really cool that I wanted to note, so we don't really forget along the way, because I'm sure we'll talk about it next season. But the fact that they chose to give Xander, of all people too, and it makes sense for him, the story to have resonation with people. Is resonation a word? If not, I just made one. To resonate with the people watching the show that were stuck in their hometown and don't get to go out and live in the real world or do the things they like, going on to, you know, work for corporate America or go to college or have a big up job where they make $250K a year or whatever the case may be. Anything to fully butter himself, Marshall. Yeah, if you know, you know. But I think it's really nice that they took the time to, like, even if it's just this one, and they kind of almost mirror that with Cordelia.
Well, and that's what I'm realizing now. I think at least, even if everyone stays where they're at, essentially, at least they're setting up the story to not introduce all these different ways that you could be pulled out of your hometown, you know, whether it is by choice, whether you have limited resources, all the resources, whatever the case. Like, at least they're acknowledging all these different paths that everyone could take. You know, Willow could go to anywhere, Buffy could go to anywhere, you know. Cordelia apparently could have at one point gone to however many schools she got accepted to, but now the resources aren't there. And Xander, we always have known that he's probably going to stay where he's at. So it's interesting that despite the fact that the probability is that most of them might stay rooted close to home, at least it opened up all these different pathways instead of, you know, just making it that like everyone got accepted to the same school and it was all there, so no one's leaving. Or, you know, like they could have taken this easy way route, but everyone's story is more complicated than that. But it at least ties back and puts them still in the same place. So that's pretty interesting.
It is. Isn't it also interesting how you watched Buffy and Angel's final breakup scene long ago before actually knowing their history, before witnessing season 2's arc and their love at the beginning of season 1, how I mentioned, like, how far have we come on the podcast and with this show?
It's crazy.
You know, thankfully I said to you while we were watching it, I was like, this is the last time you're going to have to watch Buffy and Angel break up. Because I know you were kind of tired of it. You're like, all right, great. Like, when are they?
I think from a viewer's standpoint, at least in today's age, where you're kind of used to people going back and forth and being together longer than they should and going in these like long toxic cycles, when it's mirrored in a show like this, you are kind of like, well, they'll be okay because they'll get back together next week. You know, so I am glad that you said that, because that was kind of my thought process, and that's probably why it was easy for me to kind of like pick on Angel along the way throughout this episode, because in my head I'm like, they'll probably be fine. Obviously not.
Yeah. And I'll breadcrumb you that they don't ever get
Yeah.
back together. I won't keep you waiting like I always do on the
That
show. Whenever a
definitely
person's not going to
tracks
come
for the
back
mood
and
of
you're
the
not going to be
show.
kept guessing, like,
Yeah.
he's leaving. He really
Yeah.
is leaving. And we'll see what we see as we move on and how everybody deals with it. It's going to be interesting. It's crazy to think that he's leaving the show. You know, like, you're obviously ready for his ass to leave, which is okay. I am in a way too, because I'm really excited to see his show. But yeah, like, it is what it is when it comes to that. So I really liked that conversation. I'll just say that was very insightful.
We got very insightful.
Very us. Yeah. Back into the episode. The next day, Willow is at Buffy's, having caught the full version of the story from her. Willow thinking his decision makes him a big, dumb jerk person, and bigger so for doing it before the prom. Buffy claims Willow doesn't have to vilify and make him out to be bad, because after some sitting with it, she knows that he is right, at least in the long run anyway. Willow agreeing that she tried to hope for the best, and this must feel horrible. I love how Willow doubles down instantly, talking about, yeah, I agree with you. Even though she's talking about, like, hating on Angel 2 seconds before that, and like, that's the best friend's job, to, like, hate on this motherfucker. But then she's also like, yeah, I remember smiling whenever the mayor was talking about everything that he was talking about, because it's true. Like, you know, friends are like that. They'll tell you what you want to hear versus what you need to hear, and then when you kind of give the okay, then they'll be like, oh, okay, I got you. I honestly don't agree. I don't agree where I just said I agree. Just saying. Poor Buffy, though, she starts crying, saying that horrible is still coming, and how right now it's worse, because she's just trying to keep herself from dying. Falling into Willow's lap as Willow consoles her, finally letting out the waves of emotion that she's probably been holding in and just, like, dealing with on a sub-level. But, you know, if there ain't no time for it to come out when you're with your best friend, like, talking about stuff, like, you get triggered by it, and then you feel like a little bit safer, like, so maybe some things come up in your mindset, you've had time to think on it, and then you got someone else in front of you that you just really sees you as it. Like, anytime I've ever gotten together with you, like, I remember when we were sitting in the Airbnb when we went to see the I Know What You Did Last Summer live watch it or whatever in the location, like, we were sitting out there, we had a bunch of random heart to hearts that weekend,
that was
and every time I started choking up crying, some other stuff came up that was, like, from years ago that we had never really
I think
talked
we
about
unpacked, like, childhood
and, like,
trauma that
stuff.
day that we never talked about too, and
It was
like a whole thing. And I was like, I think I need to tell my therapist about that.
But it was interesting because, like, the second I, like, teared up just a little bit, you immediately evoked that same response in yourself, and you were like, "Oh my god!" We're like holding hands. We're like, "Let's go inside and cuddle." Like,
let's not cry out where the neighbors can hear us. All RuPaul was chilling.
Well, thankfully, that lady came and started picking up all those blueberries.
Like,
we were like, "What the fuck's she doing in the yard?" And just
isn't
distracted
that what we were calling
us.
her? I can't remember.
Something like that. Who knows? Oh my god. Back at the home, though, we saw earlier the demon in that cage is still wigging the fuck out. He basically, I mean, he's not my weekly Wiggins, but he deserves the Wiggins because, you know, he's been in this cage weekly wigging out for weeks. And he manages to finally break free of his prison and run out of the home freed. Well, the room, but we know he gets out of the house. Then out on Main Street, Xander passes by April Fool's, which is the name of that shop that Cordy is inside, you know, working at. Wink, wink. He sees her in there, and once again figuring that he may as well hop in there to be annoying as per usual. The French one, the 𝐄𝐩𝐢𝐬𝐬, the usual. We find her inside. It was so funny because when we were about to go inside, you were like, we started walking through. I was like, something about the dress, and you were like, she gonna go over to a mirror and look in it. And then she did it, and you're like, exactly. And I'm like, well, Courtney, you've seen the episode. You're like, I don't remember.
I didn't. I just knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah, well, that's what she was doing last episode, so it's kind of funny. They're still putting. I'm like, bitch, put the dress down. Like,
I'm like,
down.
at least at this point, just go in the fitting room and put the whole fucking thing on. You just keep steady holding it up to yourself
and walk around in the
like,
place in it. Yeah, for real. It's yours at this point. Ain't nobody.
I'm like,
else
I know
had
you
chance
get a
to
lunch
touch
break.
it, so.
Go into the dressing room and put it on and eat your lunch in there.
Her days off, she'd be hiding it under her boxes in the back room, so
I know.
she, like, keeps it on layaway. She does. I
know. She probably wears like a big trench coat
into
into work, and then like hides the dress underneath it, and then hangs it up in the coat closet so no one can buy it.
So no one else can have it. Yeah. Well, she is ogling that dress, and he comes inside, and that's his first comment. He's like, how long does it take you to buy a damn dress? Because he's seen her in the store for like the last week, just chilling. And she's surprised, but very quick on her feet. And you can see this work out and turn in Charisma's mind through her acting. Like Cordelia is supposed to be experiencing this like I've been caught energy. And she comes up with the excuse of like, I'm trying to be more considerate these days. I don't want to get stuck with another dud. And looking Xander up and down because AKA Xander, another Xander. She's like, I gotta look good at all times and really plan my outfits, because if not, I attract people like you. And then wish verses happen, I die, like it's a whole problem. The shop employee Rhonda comes up asking if Xander's a customer or a friend, and I love how he claims he's like neither, and I'm like, well, that's fact, that's true. And he just stopped by for his annoying daily dose of I'm gonna annoy Cordelia. The lady claims that Cordelia better get back to work then, because the owner so has it in for her. And we look over and we see that bitch staring at her, and she's like, why do you always have that dress in your hand? Like, you need to put that on a rack. I've seen 3 people want to buy that, and you don't want to fucking do it. Not to mention, you spend 15 extra minutes on your break outside smoking Camel Crushes whenever you she don't smoke. She's always in that back room with that damn dress. She's like, bitch, like,
she's like, plus every time I send you on break, that dress disappears.
She takes it outside with her. She sits on it. She wipes her
she
tears
probably just goes and sits
her
in her
life
car
with
and
it.
holds it up to her in the mirror.
In the fucking mirror. She pulls down her visor mirror and looks in the dress. She's smiling. She's like,
she just stands outside of her car, actually, so it's a full length mirror. She can see herself.
Yes. Cordelia sighs at Xander's question, and he obviously is like, wait, you work here? And she drops the charade to confirm, yes, she works here. And I love him because he's like, but why? She claims it's so that she can buy a dress, and he's confused because doesn't she already have all the dresses? AKA, doesn't she always just have the ability to go get what she wants? And she snaps at him to confess, I have nothing, okay?
No dresses, no cell phone, no car. Everything has been taken away because Daddy made a little mistake on his taxes for the last 12 years. Satisfied? Are you a happy Xander now? I'm broke. I can't go to any of the colleges that accepted me, and I can't stay home because we no longer have one.
Fucking crazy reveal, just to say. He is stunned, voicing an wow as she walks off. And I love how she doubles back. And she's like, yeah, neato. So now you can run back and tell all your friends how Cordy finally got hers, and has to work part-time just to get a lousy prom dress on layaway. Remember layaway back in the 90s? That's not a thing anymore. And also, don't forget to throw in the fact that she has to wear a name tag. Then she like opens her blazer to show that she has one on. She's like, don't leave that out, because the story wouldn't have the same punch. Love the delivery and the timing of the line, though, because as soon as she says punch, the fucking demon crashes through the damn window and freaks the fuck out on the whole story. And Courtney is like, what the fuck just happened? I did not expect this to be the scene that this demon came in, even though I've seen it once before.
Okay.
And this demon is growling at everyone and attacking Xander, noticing a man in there in a suit that walks around. And he like, that demon, I love how he does that double take. And in the actor that's underneath that makeup too, just to portray all the mouth work and the eye work, the things that he's doing with his expressions, like looks away from Xander for a second, and then you see that double take. And I love, it's a fucking demon dog, and an actor is doing such a good job portraying this demon dog. And he hops over and starts attacking him instead, shredding that motherfucker up. Like, that boy went,
oh my God.
I hope he ain't dead. Like, another day in Sunnydale. But after shredding him up, the demon growls because we see him run out of the shop, having heard and us hearing like this waveform kind of sound. And we see a man controlling the demon with a sonar device on the outside. So obviously he's got this thing trained. Like, he, I guess, saw the demon get out of the cage, or like wanted him to do it. So he was really riled up. And then he just followed the demon with his little device because he's got like a collar on him. So that way it makes it where like maybe that directs. Very plot convenient, but also interesting because this poor little Tucker's thought of everything. But here opens a really interesting discussion because we get this friggin' reveal about Cordelia. But before I say that, like, talking about facial expressions done, like Xander, Nicholas Brendan, I've commented on it in the past. When she reveals all this stuff, all the puzzled look on his face, his acting, his body language, and expressions, it continues to be awesome here. Like, he's such a good actor when it comes to this type of stuff. But Cordelia, like, what happened to your life? Like, her fucking dad made probably intentional mistakes on his taxes for all these years and did all this other stuff, obviously probably doing some other shady shit, turned her whole life upside down. And it sucks because it's her parents that fucked her over. Her dad fucked her over. So that's a big slap in the face, because it's not even by her own, like what we were talking about earlier about shit setting you up in life for certain ways and certain events happening, whatever. This was out of it was out of her control.
I feel so bad for her, honestly. And like, regardless of how much of a bully she's been or any of that, or a mean girl, I feel like you're saying, if it's not, as a kid especially, or as a young adult, if it's not a fault of your own, and it's especially done by your parents, where you're facing some sort of downfall of life, yeah, that hits differently, and it has to. You know, you're not just getting betrayed by a friend. You're not getting betrayed by some random person that's like a stranger, an acquaintance or anything, or, you know, a student at the school or anything like that. You're getting not just betrayed by an adult, but your parent, and for profit, for out of greediness, you know, because they didn't want to be honest on their taxes. And so now odds are the IRS has come and seized everything. So they don't have a house. It's hurt. They're probably living out of a hotel. Cordelia's dad is likely in
That
jail.
whole comment,
you know, it's like
their Schitt's Creek. Their Schitt's
100%.
Creek. That's exactly what just happened
Yeah,
to these bitches.
yeah, and all of their really expensive assets are gone. Anything of value gets seized. All of their belongings they're no longer entitled to. It all belongs to the IRS, to the state, finally, you know, whoever's seizing it. So, and that's all in an effort to pay it back. So she's literally not over exaggerating by saying that she has nothing. She doesn't even have a home to go to at the end of the school day.
That
and what
sucks.
a timing
Like,
when you're not dealing with prom, which should be such an exciting time. You should be looking forward to your mom taking you to the store and helping you pick out a prom dress and buying that prom dress. But at the end of the day, it's supposed to be such a happy time. And like we were saying, even though it's like a time full of choices, at least you have the choices. Cordelia is like, they're getting all dangled in front of her face like a carrot and a rabbit, and she can't even do anything about it. Like, she just can't, you know. She has all these acceptance letters from colleges that she cannot go to because they have no resources. She's working in a store surrounded by prom dresses that she can't afford or buy, and she's days away from prom. So it's just like, how unfair, not just for a person, but also the timing of the exact point in her life when she should be having the most like bliss and the part everyone looks forward to. So yeah, I hate it for Cordelia. And then especially Xander being blind to the fact that he's just rubbing this shit in her face, not even knowing what he's rubbing in her face the whole time until now, you know. So
and then it's Xander, the one that has to confront her in this moment too, and see her in one of her darkest moments and get this reveal with it. Like, it's so awesome that they chose to do this, especially where we've come with these people.
And that's like the last person
that's always
you know that she wanted to have that admission to. Like, she probably would have rather, honestly, Buffy and Willow been the one in there looking for a dress and been like, listen, I have to be honest.
She should have told them to come on. She should have said, go there. Yep, because that would have been a lot better. It always works that way. And like, this is kind of the comment that I wrote down to make in a second in a way, but I'm going to tie it in with this. Like, the universe always has its way of humbling people, and it's always your damn ex showing up when you in your worst moment. Like, you ain't in your hottest, I'm looking fly and I'm living my life to the best of my ability moment when this shit takes place. Like, it's always this. And like, just noting on that, like, it's got to be so hard on Cordelia. I feel so bad for her when she starts naming out those like realizations of like, I have no home. I don't have my car anymore. There ain't no Queen C license plate nowhere in sight. You know, you even had to take that back to the DMV. So that's a whole thing. Like, and obviously, as we've been saying, like, this is caused by her father. It's not her fault. Like, but at the same time, devil's advocate, I have to say that this is a little bit of karmic energy working, because at the end of the day, Cordelia treated people all her life because of her privilege.
Yes.
How she grew up and all that stuff like that. Like, it's kind of karmic for her to like have this
It is.
For her kind of arc and stuff. I like it though, because that being said, of a karmic thing, Wheel of Fortune tarot card. We've been talking about how we're going to do tarot cards on the show. That's all about karmic fate taking the wheel for you to turn destiny for you. And this is a potential moment for her to be forced to grow through hardship versus the privilege that she's had. And it could help shape her into a new version of herself. Because where do we find Cordelia after this?
Yeah.
You know? she has now to work for herself or figure out how to live life on her own versus depending on others.
Well, and like you're saying, it is a humbling experience. So at least if nothing else, hopefully going forward, she has the ability through her own experience now to understand a new variety of people and where they come from, instead of just having the silver spoon on a silver platter handed to you kind of thing, you know, because that's how it is. And so yeah, it will be interesting to see how her character evolves from this space and see if she does come with a little bit more like humility and like, and I don't know, just down to earth, I guess. Yeah,
we'll leave that at that. In the library, the gang watched the video footage from the store attack, trying to figure out what's going on, and they realize, or should I say Cordelia points out, how the demon had good taste and went straight for the sharply dressed man versus crummy Xander over here. Wesley addressing that this is a hellhound, a vicious demon foot soldier, typically trained to kill and feed off brains of their foes. And then Wesley wonders what she was doing with Xander anyway, too, because he makes a comment, and I was like, ooh, is he like doing this for personal reasons? Like, why were you with Xander? Isn't that your ex-boyfriend? And I've been having a crush on you. We've been having this whole energy exchange. Like, why were you with Xander? You know what I mean? But it's also nice that he sets it up. They had to put it in there one way, and like, it's great that they utilized Wesley for this because of what I just said. But obviously she starts fumbling for an excuse, and this is basically my preface to saying he's not, but Xander's my shining slayer. He's not. Not N-O-T, guys. Unfollow us. I know you will. Write a review. I know you'll talk about it. No, I'm just kidding. Those people have long gone. God. The ones who stuck around, they understand. But Xander does his first commendable act. Not only did he not fuck around with Cordelia in the shop, he saw her for her moment. And we'll talk about more later, so I don't want to breadcrumb thinking I'm trying to open this conversation, but I'm just going to say subtly that he steps in right here to say that he was looking for a tuxedo and he happened to find her in the store spending daddy's money as per usual with the J, but technically the SH because the usual is French and exciting and full of money and the regular one's not. And that's where Cordelia is. If you guys don't know, that's something me and Courtney have said. We might have said that in the past, but we'd be like as per usual because it means as per usual. But we have like two versions of it. We have the USHE, how we text each other, and we'd be like, yeah, that's as per usual, like I'm late or this, that. But when it's a fancy one, we put UJE because it's usual.
AKA we're weird.
We're setting this up for all the future times we say it. And they'll know about the usual. It'll be the usual. A wool. Oz then calls out to pause the TV because he spotted the man outside the shop with the device, and it's hello, hellhound raiser. And they find him in the yearbook later to be Tucker Wells. Willow conveniently hacking into this email account moments later to find an email, by the way. Like, she's like, oh, I hacked into his account. I'm like, in the 2 seconds you've been over here on the computer? Like, what the fuck? Like, Willow, calm down. Okay, plot convenience. Anyways, he sent an email to a friend stating, Sunnydale students have no idea what's coming to them. Their big night will be their last night.
So, we have a threat against the students on their big night. A hellhound trained to attack people in formal wear.
Oh, are we all catching up now?
This Tucker is planning to attack the prom tonight.
The gang then ponder how this sucks, and Willow claims she's going to take her dress back, and Buffy claims that she shall not dare do that, getting up to promote the positive vibes her mother has instilled in her to say,
No, you guys are going to have a prom. The kind of prom that everyone should have. I'm going to give you all a nice, fun, normal evening if I have to kill every single person on the face of the earth to do it.
Yay?
She's standing up. She's like, I'm pissed off about what's been going on in my life. I ain't letting my friend's life turn out the way mine is every episode. Like,
she's like only one traumatic
experience
per person.
Exactly, and she's got enough trauma on her plate to deal with right now. So, love that. We commend you, Buffy. And then Buffy moves into gear to give everyone a task and figuring out how to connect the dots on how to stop Tucker. Her with the task on finding where, like, you know, where he's getting the food and brains for them, and then everybody else kind of dilly-dallies and goes out and do their own thing. Which is also a fun way to say that I noticed this time around watching for the first time ever, and I've seen this episode thousands of times. Xander comments that he'll take the magic shop as his task because it's right by the dress store that Buffy had just said is right by the dress store where they were earlier. AKA to check for supplies to raise a hellhound. And notice here that Xander is quick to take this task, and this had to be when he quietly went, since it was beside it, to pay for Cordelia's dress. Never connected that before, when he did it, I always assumed that maybe he did it after the attack. But then also like thinking in it this time, I was like, well, wouldn't that have made sense? Like, or wouldn't have not made sense because the store would have obviously closed after this event occurred. Like they have a window that's broken. Like you can't have people shopping in here anymore. This is a crime scene. But that also raises the question of like, how is it not closed when he goes back to get the dress right now as I'm talking about? Or when Cordy is seen there closing up later and the bitch is all
I know,
like,
they fixed
"Here,
that
aren't you supposed to
window
take your
real
dress?"
quick,
Like,
ain't it?
like, oh, well, listen, there's a plot hole in this, just like there's a hole in that window.
And the missing
because I don't get it. I love it. I love what they're trying to do and how they set it up. But like when you really break it down and start analyzing and thinking about it, like what the fuck did y'all do here? Y'all, it did not work at all.
Well, what would made more sense is for Xander to go back and take advantage of the fact that he has complete access to the store and pull a Buffy and Faith and break and enter after hours and then go steal the dress and then go hand it to Cordelia and be like, here, I got you this.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. Look at Courtney calling back to Bad Girls.
So we're going to call it back.
Well, we then cut over to a meat department store as Buffy walks in with an employee saying, yeah, a weird kid comes in here weekly to buy cow brains, giving her an address of where they go to. And obviously this is not big brain because you're not supposed to give people addresses to customers and stuff like that. That's a whole HIPAA violation in a way. It's not HIPAA in the same way that, I don't know. I feel like every business has a HIPAA violation in this way. It doesn't have to be about medical records. It always is more intense in a hospital, like the chatty doctor from the first season, like telling like poor little Billy's like whole diagnosis and shit like that to Giles and Buffy and shit. And like any other time, like it's been a plot convenience for them to just give all the information. And I'm like, okay, y'all are getting sweet. Like, can't just be doing this. But it also is Sunnydale, so I guess it kind of makes sense because he's like, yeah, that kid's kind of creepy. You should maybe go deal with that. He's like, I hear you're going to win an award for this later, so potentially. He said it's on hush hush. I didn't tell you that though.
He said, whatever you do, make
obviously
sure you get
yes, please. He said, you'll be pleased.
Maybe that's what it was. Everyone in Sunnydale was like, Buffy has to be at prom at this hour. So like give her all the information she asked for as quickly as you can, get her to her sources and let her meet her goals so she can be at prom on time. And so the guy was like, I'm not dilly-dallying with this address. You can have it.
Yeah. All right, great. We're creating some interesting stories.
We're going to fill the holes they left.
Bridges. We'll go fix the window after this. We'll head over to April Fool's. Buffy then spots Angel standing in the room too, because he's over there. Apparently, this is where he gets his blood from, and they can't help but run into each other and speak. And Buffy's not wanting him to get into, how he claims that he misses her because he says that and wants to know how she is. And she informs of this week's trouble and how she's got to stop a crazy from pulling a Carrie at the prom. Love that too, because obviously this is from Stephen King's adaptation and film referencing 1976 Carrie. Some shit goes down at prom. It's like Jamie Lee Curtis prom night, which all these movies make sense that this fucker was making these damn demon dogs watch. I'm like, I need a couple other on that list, so I'm just going to say that now. But I don't think they have come out yet. Really sad that Hereditary wasn't up there just as a throw-in. I had to make it happen. It's probably the last time this will come up this season.
Party prom.
Yeah, there you go. She also points out how she's not attending the prom due to this event and how she's not going to let that stop her friends and school miss the most important night of their lives, claiming she's over the whole Buffy gets one perfect high school moment thing. And of course they have to drop this in here so that way we're like, okay, let's rail this in so it hits harder later. And she denies any help from him because he asked if he can help her, and she's like, I got it. And I love how she kind of gets snappy with him, and then she's like, but thanks. She like brings herself back for a second. She's like, okay, I can't act like a fucking full on C word. Like, I just can't. Not Cordelia, the other. Then at the dress shop, it's closing. I don't know if Cordelia went back there to collect her things. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe the shop wasn't still open. All right, that's what I'm going to go with. She went go grab her handbag. She accidentally ran out because of the event and stuff. She had to go pick up her last minute things. And she's getting ready to leave. And then Rhonda's bitch ass calls out for her not to forget her dress. And we see it's all wrapped up now. It's not like it's not free flowing. It's not underneath Cordy's trench coat, because if it was me, she'd have that trench coat on. She learned from Faith and Buffy. Faith
that was me. I would have stolen
it
when the hellhound came in because everyone was distracted.
Yeah, for real. He ripped that dress up and I threw it away. We were wilding out this episode. I need to reel it in because this is a special moment. she's like, aren't you wearing this dress tonight? And then, of course, Cordy has to admit, she's like, as much as I don't want to admit this, I have not finished paying for that, so that's a no-go for me. And Rhonda shows her the receipt on it, offering, well, somebody did, because it's paid off. And Cordelia looks confused. I don't know if the invoice says a name. I'm assuming it does, because she knows and finds out, and looks stunned. We'll bring it full circle later. Buffy comes into the library to her bummed-ass friends and their long faces, who mention that they got nowhere on their searches. But Buffy brightens them up by informing that she got the address so they can all head out to prom, and she will catch up once she puts a lid on this jerk. They all try to argue helping her instead, and she doubles down on them having a nice time. Because that's how she says it. She's like, spacing in between it. She's like, my dots that have been connected are now in between my words. And they all rush to leave to get ready. She asks Giles to attend and keep an eye on them. Him addressing she seems a bit rash, with just an address seeming not fully like a lead. Her reasoning to say that she's got this and how they all deserve to attend what they've been planning versus ruin their night and rites of passage, aka time with their honeys. She packs up some weapons in the cage, and he gets the clue, voicing that Angel's not taking her, is he? She confirms no. Angel's leaving me. He's leaving town. And Courtney goes, Courtney goes, bye. You didn't actually do that in this scene. You did it earlier, but I'm just saying, like, every time I hear Angel leaving town, I know that you're, like, back in the background, like, shooting fucking party flyers, firing off fireworks, like, boasting, yeah, all the things. Giles sighs, though, and apologizes for her, not knowing what to say, but understanding that this sort of thing involves ice cream of some kind. And then I wrote my notes in bold. No, that's Willow's thing, Giles. We and she smirk a little, and she agrees that will come. But first she needs to take out Psycho Boy. Besides,
Great thing about being a Slayer, kicking ass is comfort food.
and then we flash over to fucking prom in full swing as Praise You is being danced to by the senior class. This song is in so many 90s things. I'm just saying, like, I think it's in She's All That and a bunch of other ones. We find Anya walking with her date, Xander Harris, who obviously chose to go with her. Love it. And he looks a bit mortified, and also it's kind of nice because he deserves this torture in a way. He had Cordelia, now he's got like this that he's going to prom with. Like, you had played your cards right, you would have had the hottest bitch on your arm at prom. And also, you wouldn't have been walking around mortified, as I was saying, as she's going over the various stories of male victims that she had encountered and granted wishes for all across her, fucking thing leading to their demise. This is the funniest aspect of this to me, that she has nothing to talk about because she's never been a human really before, like, since becoming a demon. And then she tells this one story, like, specifically talking about, like, the plague, or chalking it up to, like, how the plague was going on at the time, and, like, how this woman had wished her husband's head would explode, and how they were standing right by him when it happened. She's like, I didn't think that one through. Gross. But, like, Xander's face, and again, his facial patterns, like, top notch when she's telling the story, because she's just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why did I say yes to this bitch? And I love it. And because then as soon as she finishes that one, she goes into the next one. She's like, well, anyways.
Poor Xander.
Just like, damn, that kind of sucks. He's not enjoying himself. They pass by to leave us with Giles and Wesley chatting about how this is all foreign to the way they grew up in preparatory school. It says predatory school, but it's supposed to say preparatory school. It's predatory school. That's what Sunnydale High is. We pan over to watch Cordelia enter the building, and I love how everybody gets their entrance shots. You know what I mean? In the episode, they were really specific about making sure everybody got a little moment to walk in. And obviously she's solo dolo, and she's looking hot, about as hot as this salsa that Wesley is choking on at the sight of her. And we're right there with you, Wes. Love Cordelia in this dress. Like, this is such a pretty dress for her. She even went home and pinned her hair up real quick, pulled some random little pieces down. Like, Cordelia looks foxy, if I ever could say so, Which we don't expect anything. And also, this is a night for her, just like Buffy gets a special moment. Now Cordelia gets a special moment to, like, actually attend prom, because if she was probably gonna go to the street to sit on the side of the corner and do nothing, because apparently she has.
She was probably going to try to find Tucker and be like, you know what, I'm on your side. You got two of those dogs? Let me get one.
It's about sick him on my daddy.
He's in jail.
Soon after, though, we do see Oz and Willow get their moment to come in, and of course this is the first time that we haven't seen Oz look a bit grungy, because he's all put together in his little suit, and Willow looks absolutely adorable in her little dress. She's got her little shawl. She looks cute. I like the dress. I like the colors of it, how it matches with Allison. Like, they just paired this really well. They spent a moment here. And she comments on how they should probably start enjoying themselves in case the demons attack, and Oz shuts that down real quick because he knows Buffy's going to take care of everything and that they will be fine. Wesley moves to Cordelia to offer that she looks smashing. Very English. The two linking arms to walk off together, bumping into Xander and Anya. And I love this whole moment because Xander gets super excited for them to be interacting with anyone other than him being with Anya by himself. This poor guy is stressed out at this moment. He looks so miserable. And I like specifically how he's asking how Cordelia and Wesley are. And he's like, and please give long lengthy details about what everything that you can go over to keep us here longer. Like, we need to take up a lot of time here with this conversation. And obviously Wesley has the moment where he's like giving a simple, fine thanks, but it triggers in Cordelia's mind to look at Xander and say, yes, thank you. And he nods at her to smile and say, it looks good on you, meaning the dress that he paid for. And what a great reveal. After he says that you look good in it, she like has her confidence back and she states, well, duh. And then the two share a very special smile and they part ways. And to me, it's a beautiful moment because it's one of those rare times where Xander drops all the posturing, all the jokes, and all the defensiveness that he typically like goofs off with, like hides behind. And he shows up for Cordelia as a decent, quietly good human being. And after everything messy between the two, he still can't stand to see her struggle alone. And instead of making it about him or digging for credit, he just pays for the dress and walks away. And this is like his unspoken, I'm sorry for what I did to you. And it lets you know I do care. And this is the best way to do it because this speaks Cordelia's love language, you know, in a way, even in a friendly, platonic way at this point. And this is something I'm making specific because I'm going to bring it up again one day in a certain way. Breadcrumb. I like it because it's Xander choosing kindness with no angle, no expectations, no look at me, a trait that we saw he started to gain by the close of the end of the 𝑔zippo. So this kind of brings a little bit of that, the way they were acting on that closing scene to each other. She had been biting at him the whole episode. This pushes a lot of that out the window where she doesn't have to feel the same way about Xander, and maybe Xander doesn't have to feel the same way about her. Not only does it do that, it also kind of seals up this trauma that they've been experiencing as, you know, schoolgoers their whole life, coming to the end of their school journey together from kindergarten all the way to here.
Yeah.
You know, she's been this fucking bitch to him the whole time. And he would have never done some shit like this if this had been the 8th grade dance.
That's
and
so
he had
true.
$5 in his pocket. Stuff like that. I love the little bit of growth that, and now all the listeners for Xander are coming back, Xander's had, and how he started to mature. And for Cordelia, someone who's used to people performing goodness for like an applause or like social currency, that subtle act like just lands so much deeper here. And he sees that her dignity has slipped and he helps her hold on to like the last little pinch of it that she can without calling attention to it. And I see that as like the perfect closure to their arc, you know?
I agree. Especially because, like you're saying, he's not looking for any recognition with it, and he's not looking for praise or even for her to make a big deal about it. Like, he's even her being snarky and just being like, well, duh, you know, is enough because he knows that's her way of acknowledging what he did also. So it's one of those, it's a cute thing that still stays kind of within their character and how we're used to with them. But like you're saying, it removes kind of the toxic blows that we've been getting from the two of them with each other, because it's like, it's just been this exchange of the upper hand with the two of them for the last few episodes, ever since they've broken up, really. You know, first it was Cordelia coming in and always shitting on Xander, and then they gave Xander the upper hand leading up to now, where he's shitting on her constantly. And so to follow it up with such a nice gesture, and like you're saying, an unspoken gesture that doesn't require a praise or acknowledgement or reward of any sort for him basically saying, it's enough for me to see you happy in your dress, you know, and that, like you're saying, is my token of an apology for everything that's going on, because I don't want you to acknowledge it. And the fact that he saved her ass throughout the day, you know, where people are bringing up questions like, well, why were you at the store and why did you see, and blah blah blah, and he decides to say, oh, it's just spending her daddy's money as usual, when he could have literally been like, well, Cordelia should be embarrassed because here's what's really fucking happening, you know. And you would think,
and that's normally Xander's
you
take on things. He's done this since the beginning, like spoiled stuff and spoken out when he shouldn't be,
and
when he
put
probably
his
should
foot
be
in
keeping
his
his
mouth a
closed.
lot.
Like, yes. So this is great for Xander, and I love what he just did for Cordelia. Like I said, he gave her a little bit of something back, and it's really beautiful to witness, like between the two characters.
But it brings a good point too, that you kind of that we've kind of thrown shade at some of the listeners from our past, where we have had a lot of kind of like negative things to say about Xander. People have to remember that I don't know what's happening. I don't know where these characters are going to go, you know? So by the end of Buffy as a series, I may be in love with Xander. I don't know. There might be a roller coaster of emotions, but you have to understand that I'm sure back in the 90s, most people probably disliked Xander's character. And we're just speaking on that from a fresh tone, you know, just like you're saying now. Like, he has these exceptional moments. And I think because he's so easily misunderstood as a character, when these moments are happening, at least it makes it look even greater than it normally would, as if Giles did something like this, because it's kind of what we're used to. So for a character like Xander to throw a gesture at Cordelia, of all people, like this, makes it even more important and more valuable because of the fact that it's not Xander's normal nature. So I just kind of wanted to bring that up, because that was just thrown in my kind of perspective, where I was like, well, I don't think people realize, because I realized along the way that, like, yeah, it makes sense now, some of the things that you've even said, you know, about characters where you're kind of like quick to defend someone. And I'm like, I get what you're saying now about some people because they've evolved into this really great space. But for me, not so much, you know, in the beginning, because I'm just getting introduced to all these people. So something like this is like, holy shit, Xander has really grown as a character and as a person, which I like and I can appreciate.
Yeah, and I like that. That's awesome. Giles keeps looking towards the door entry to see if Buffy's arriving during this whole like shot too, after we get like little thing, and he's like, when is she gonna get here? And then instead of like seeing Buffy, we see Jonathan walk in with his date among other non-Buffy people entering the prom. Love how they even gave Jonathan his little moment. And no pun intended, because you know he's little. Cutscene transition magic over to Buffy arriving at Tucker's, entering his basement, finding him and the demon in a cage. She sneaks up on him as he's about to release it, yoinking his ass up, telling him that he's pathetic and his plan is over. And I have to laugh for a moment, because when he smashes that lamp on her head, she just looks so fucking unfazed. Like, she's like, okay, that did nothing, little boy. Like, calm down. I'm also really questioning here, why isn't he questioning her being here? Like, how did you know, like, to come here to find me? How did you figure out what I was up to and how this was going on? Like, she just rolls up, enters into his house, and is all like, you know, whatever. And he's like, oh, hey, you caught me. Isn't it cool what I did? You know, like, this motherfucker kind of wanted to be caught. But at the same time, like, and I think in his mindset, too, he's like thinking, oh, yeah, I've been caught. But then also, I've already, as we'll find out in a second, already sent some of these motherfuckers on.
Yeah, you know? In his mind, the job is done. Crazy. So he's like, you think you caught me, and the longer I have you here, the stupider you're about to look.
But also it kind of connects to and makes me think, like, because of what we find out in a little bit, like the class knowing a little bit more than they have led on to, that this motherfucker already knows who Buffy is. So he's like, of course this bitch don't come found me. Like, true. Class protector, blah, blah, blah. Like, eat a dick, Buffy. She takes notice to several TVs in the movie rentals above it, you know, like Prom Night, Pump Up the Volume, Pretty in Pink, Carrie. Understanding that this is how he trained the demon dogs to attack, and wondering what his motive was, because he is over there like, I got my reasons, which are basically just that he got turned by a singular girl to prom. He's like, you want to go to prom? And she's like, no. And then he's like, I'm going to kill everybody at prom. I said
typical.
For real. For real. Like, boy, go. I thought you were all about singing a whole new world. Either way, she calls him incompetent and begins to tie him up with the lamp cord that he broke over her head, pushing him to another room, saying that she's going to lock him up and go party like it's... No, you're not, Buffy, because we're now stopped and you're stunned, noticing that there are 3 more TVs and empty cages in here where he's been also training other ones, and he claims that his 3 fiercest hellhounds are on the way to prom right now. I hate, for some reason, like, whenever he says, wait till they see the mirror ball, and there's this high frequency, like, kind of sound where it trails off. Like, for some reason, it always makes my teeth hurt. Like, I don't really know why. It's super little to comment on. I just don't like it. But also kind of makes me fucked up in my head, because I was like, I'm assuming mirror ball, he's talking about a disco ball. And he's like that's going to trigger them because of the light and stuff like that. I'm like, that's the big point. Like, not just the...
I know. The mirror ball.
God. He's making him watch Prom Night, too. Everyone calls it a disco ball, which I'm assuming that's what a mirror ball is. A mirror, anything that reflects light off of it is a mirror ball. Like, I didn't know. I always called it a disco ball. If that's really what it's called, that's how I learned it. Because
I've always called it a disco
Bye, Tucker.
ball.
We're done with you,
that's
though.
what it's called.
How do you think he got out of there? You think he was tied up in that room for a really long time? Because you know she popped his ass in there anyways and said, I gotta go. Like, bye. Anyway, I don't want to spend time on him. He's irrelevant. We get a round of cutscene transition magic to the 3 demon dogs, who we will name Xana, Carrie, and Jackie, arriving on school grounds, approaching the gym as Buffy appears behind them, shooting one dead with her crossbow.
That one's Jackie
There go Buffy again with that crossbow. Gotta pull that out. The two move to attack her, and she runs off as they chase her, thinking she's gained the upper hand, driving them away. I love that. She's like, good dogs, follow Buffy. Let's go. Come on. She's like, I got this. She's like, this is great. I'm gonna take him over here in the corner. I'm gonna kill him. Well, Celebration begins to loudly play. You all know that song. Celebrate good times. Come on. Awful.
Agreed.
And they turn back and double back towards the school because obviously this is triggering for them. They're like, oh yeah, we have a task. And I love Buffy so much because she goes,
Oh, come on. That song sucks.
that song does suck. And it was so funny because I was at Disney with my sister, obviously, back in August, and we were listening to like this whole moment. Like I was dancing with my niece, like they were playing like all kinds of cool songs and stuff. And eventually that song came on, and I like took a video of me going, that song sucks, and walking away from it, like the dance floor. And I posted it on the Revamp story that day when I was there. If you know, you know, kind of thing. So just calling that back if anybody saw it. Inside the school, she runs in, finding the two demons scraping at the door, apparently not knowing how to use one because they do not know how to work handles. It's so funny because I noticed when we were watching it, the demon on the left is really going in on his acting. This must have been the demon that attacked in the shop earlier because this guy is really honing in on his role. And the other one sitting over there just doing this, like scraping lightly on, like he's petting the door versus like scraping on it. He like, seriously, we're gonna go back and watch this again one day at some point, or I'm gonna send you the clip. Like this motherfucker is.
He's
so
like, I'm ready to get off in
He's
30
like,
minutes. Let's do this scene quickly.
for real. It's just funny. But she begins to fight the two, disposing one of them with a knife, like, which is so cool. She like tumbles over with it and rolls off the table, and it accidentally kind of stabs him like out of her jacket in some way, shape, or form. Whatever. One's down, one more to go. The other attacking her, but when the male comes out of the doors, obviously he does that double take with them again and goes to hop at him because, you know, suit attire. And Buffy drags it back by his ankle and effectively breaks his neck right there in front of the guy. And with a threat over, she points that homeboy, who surely just pissed his pants and attempts to find the restroom. Like, and I love how he fumbles with words. He's like, and she's like, you're welcome. Because she knows he's trying to like get out of thank you. And obviously he couldn't find the word, so like she does that and, you know, gives that to him. And she pulls the demons outside to hide them in the bushes. We see her move over to her bag, and she pulls out her dress in a bag tucked away inside. She goes inside to change it. I wrote in my notes, like, could you imagine if these demons hadn't been stopped in time by Buffy and they actually got inside of the prom and Tucker's plan succeeded, and then these students would have been like, what the fuck? And this would have been another thing to add to their strange list of odd occurrences.
Yeah, and
school.
then no one
like,
would be at graduation because all these fuckers would be so dead.
Back inside, finally Buffy makes her grand entrance to the dance, the person we've all been waiting for, looking stunning in this soft lilac strapless long gown, and we all collectively try not to think, well, aren't you just a picture when we see her? Because, you know, I have to call back to Dead Man's Party and Pat's comment. It makes sense now what she meant, even though we didn't want to hear it back then. Giles catches her and smiles as she nods to him, affirming the job is done. And I love it. It's just across the room exchange. She doesn't have to walk up, and it doesn't have to be this big conversation because that's not the point anymore. She moves to Oz and Willow, and they exchange how they both look awesome and also how the devil dogs are history. Buffy asks them how prom's been, and Oz offers that he got all teared up while they played We Are Family. And Willow voices that everything is perfect. But perfect hasn't happened yet. Later that night on stage, we've reached an awards ceremony. Class Clown is awarded to Jack Mayhew instead of Xander, you know, because he's appropriately a sour grape over this. Xander is pissed. He's like, anybody can be a prom class clown, whatever. And I'm like, Xander, we didn't really see you acting that goofy in class or doing these things. You were always tagging along with Buffy. That's why you didn't get it this year. Had you have not been friends with Buffy, you probably would have got your class clown award at the end of your cycle, okay? Just saying. You're doing more important work than being a class clown. You're growing. Because class clowns don't grow. They clown. We catch Buffy over getting some punch away from everyone with her back turned, not paying attention to the award. She's like, this has nothing to do with me. You know? Love that setup. And as the previous speaker steps aside, he calls over Jonathan to the mic. Him being 3 feet tall has that moment where he has to lower it dramatically to his level before being able to voice to the crowd how they have one more award to give out. Calling out to ask if Buffy Summers is here tonight. And I'm already crying writing my script, writing this. Like, I'm going to get sad right now talking about it because it's so sweet. Everyone turns to look behind them to where she is. And this bitch looks questionable as fuck. She's like, I'm uncomfortable. She's surprised at this attention. She turns back being like, what? And everybody's looking at her. Like, I would have been like, oh, fuck. Like, what is happening? Jonathan continues that this is a new category for awards. First time ever. saying the prom committee asked him to read this, pulling out a paper from his jacket, and it goes as following, as the class protector theme by Christoph Beck cues in one final time. Okay, hold on. I don't want to cry during reading it. I will cry because it's so sweet. I love this. This is my favorite Buffy. I'm going to leave this in here too. That this is my favorite Buffy moment.
No, it's
like,
so
this is so great for her. Okay. We're not good friends. Most of us never found the time to get to know you, but that doesn't mean we haven't noticed you. We don't talk about it much, but it's no secret that Sunnydale High isn't like other high schools. A lot of weird stuff happens here. That first student calls out zombies. Second student, hyena people. Fucking iconic. The dude number
Snyder.
3. And then just like us, the crowd laughs. He goes on, but whenever there was a problem or something creepy happened, you seem to show up and stop it. Most of the people here have been saved by you or helped by you at one time or another. And we're proud to say that the class of 99 has the lowest mortality rate of any graduating class in Sunnydale history. And we know at least part of that is because of you. So their senior class offers its thanks and gives you this. Jonathan then reveals the fucking awesome gold umbrella, shining with tinsel full of stars and pink sparkles and a little plaque on its stem finishing the speech. It's from all of us, and it has written here, Buffy Summers, class protector. The students part like the Red Sea to make an aisle for her to approach the stage and collect her award. Giles looking on greatly proud, Xander in awe, and Willow smiling at her best friend. The senior class praises and claps for Buffy as she takes this in, and she is happy because she did get her one perfect high school moment. Oh, no. Y'all, I cry like a baby every time because I'm so happy for her. Like, this is so brilliant. And let's talk about this for a moment. Like, I want to point out how special this is, obviously, for Buffy on another level. It's the pinnacle moment of the high school era. It's the culmination of 3 years of the show. Jonathan's words sum up the first 3 years. It's one of the biggest feel-good moments of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, especially this early on. And what makes this moment all the more special is that it's Jonathan delivering this, because he knows from personal experience just how special Buffy is and how many lives that she's affected because she saved his. Bring this into perspective. Originally, people didn't get to see Earshot before the prom happened after Enemies aired. They didn't get to see this. So whenever they watched it later on, that would have made this moment land 10 times more when they watched it, because they're like, wait, why is Jonathan getting this award? It makes sense. So now, thankfully for you as a watcher, you got to see it the right way. You got to see it how it needed to be, how it was intentionally supposed to be viewed in order, you know? But that's so special for him to give her this moment.
Like I said, there were a few moments I read from watching this the first time, and obviously this being such a big moment, and there were a lot of traces of this moment at the prom event that we went to, so it's kind of a moment that I can't escape from remembering. But it was good to be able to be here in this moment and have watched the entire series all the way through until now, to really, like you were saying, the small moments, even down to who's giving her the award, matters, you know. And I would have never have known that before when I was watching it the first time, because of the fact that I didn't see that episode. I didn't see her have that whole exchange with Jonathan. So it was actually really eye-opening in so many ways to re-watch something that I did remember about that episode. But of course, just the nature of the whole thing is so sweet and unforeseen, you know, because you don't see that coming. You don't, you know, and you just expect that Buffy's special moment is really not going to happen. And that if nothing else, we're lucky that she made it to prom with her friends, and that's special enough. It's like the cherry on top for her. She got what she wanted as far as having a successful prom night and defeating all the odds against it to make sure that she gets to do that too, but then to be presented and acknowledged with something so powerful. And the way that they did the speech to present it to her, like you're saying, really sums up every little thing that we've experienced in the most simple format, which is exactly what they said, that she is the class protector. It doesn't surprise me that this class has the highest mortality rate out of all the other ones, you know. So it's just even the acknowledgement of that you don't even know really up until this moment how aware the other kids at the school are of what's going on in the town. You assume, because it's very hard to ignore the weird shit, but you don't know the full grasp they have on the whole situation. So it sets a lot up for the story, but obviously it gives Buffy the acknowledgement that she has always deserved. So to be here with her now, yeah, it's very touching, especially after we've seen her get her heart broken. So it's just one of those really, really awesome things that kind of remind her, I'm sure, why she's doing this and make it a little bit better and a little bit more worth it. Yeah.
Sure. I, of course, cannot leave out that I have 3 Buffy tattoos. Like, I've got the Buffy B logo behind my ear. I have Buffy tattooed on my shoulder, as I talked about in like one of our opening, prior introductory episodes to the show. But I also, this past year, got the umbrella tattooed on my leg that says Class Protector. And it's one of my favorite tattoos now. And just like another little thing, I'm like my phone picture, which I showed you last episode, we were talking about it and stuff, or when we watched the episode, like the tarot card from the Buffy deck, I had that in the case of my phone. And that's the card that they chose to depict that, by the way. Here's our next tarot drop. That's the world card, the end of a cycle, the culmination, like
all the things that
so
actually
beautiful.
means. Yeah.
And I've had this for years. I used to carry it on my 광 bag, but I have a little pin
that's so
her little Class Protector umbrella. I'm showing Courtney on the camera right now, but like this is my favorite moment. Like when I buy one of April Fool's custom dolls, which is so funny that that's called April Fool Customs. I wonder if he did a play on that because of the place that Cordelia worked in, and he's a dressmaker. Like he makes like Barbie dolls and stuff, and he makes their outfits. Like this is the doll that I want from the show. Like when I have it one day, I'm 35-year-old man talking about how I'm gonna get a Barbie doll, but I want her on my Buffy stuff with all my other little like stuff, especially for this podcast. Like I'll put it in a case one day. It'll be cool. But I love this moment, and we're gonna move on from it now. Later that evening, as everyone dances, Giles scolds Wesley about his fair attraction to age-appropriate Cordelia Chase, so he can have a go at it and go ask this bitch to dance. Because, Wesley's like, should I ask her? And he's like, motherfucker, like, just go. Wild Horses by the Sundays begins to play as he enters the floor with Cordelia, Xander and Anya dancing nearby, and her finally shutting up and enjoying the slow dance. Buffy watches everyone with their partners as Giles moves over to Buffy to express how she did good work tonight.
I got a little toy surprise.
Also noting how he didn't realize that children could be so gracious. Her retorting that every now and then people surprise you. Him looking just beyond her to revoice the statement back to her every now and then. Taking her umbrella to hold it for her as she turns to see what he's looking at. Which we find to be a well-dressed in tuxedo, haven't left town yet as much as Courtney would love it, Angel walking in the door. Angel even got his moment to enter the fucking prom. And he moves towards her. And that's such a cute drawn out moment because like he's walking towards her slowly like, hey bitch, I came. And she's taking that in and she meets up with him and they speak on how she didn't think he would come and he knows it's a big night and he didn't want to miss it. But it is just tonight. It doesn't mean, and she cuts him off to voice that she understands, which is nice because originally she's like, I know. And then she pulls herself back in and say like, let's make a little more mature of a statement and say, I mean, I understand. This bitch is the best at learning lessons. He asked her to dance with him, and she pulls into his body to do so. And of course, I have to mention how me and Courtney danced to this song at the Buffy prom in Brooklyn as Jenny Owen Youngs sang a cover of this song. One of my favorite memories in life, aka me and you are basically Bangel, the healthier version.
So true.
We then pan around them as they slow dance among the crowd, among her friends, looking into each other's eyes. She rests her head on his chest. Their dance continuing and her getting her second perfect high school moment. Wild Horses drag us away as we fade to black, and here endeth the episode. You like how I did that? Wild Horses drag us away. So cute. All right, we did it. We made it through the episode. I also want to state that I ended my note-taking when we did it with like a bunch of hearts drawn at the end of the page. Because you were like, all right, bye. See ya, Angel. And I was like, no, love him. Sappy as it is, though, what a beautiful ending to the episode and for Buffy herself. Themes and metaphor. The prom is Buffy's love letter to normalcy. Her quiet wish to have one night that belongs just to her. It's not about the dress or the date. It's about getting to be a teenage girl instead of the Slayer. After everything that she's lost, she just wants one small piece of ordinary. Of course, that doesn't last. The hellhounds crashing prom are such a perfect metaphor for how darkness always seems to follow Buffy into the light. They're literally monsters driven to destroy happiness. Jealousy and bitterness turn into something feral. And still, Buffy shows up, takes the hit, and makes sure everyone else gets to have the night that she can't. And that's what makes her a hero. Her breakup with Angel is another kind of battle, not one that she can win, but one that she faces with grace. It's a grown-up heartbreak, the kind that comes from love and timing not lining up. Angel walks away because he loves her, and Buffy lets him go because she knows that she has to. It's the moment that she steps into emotional adulthood. Then there's that beautiful scene where the class recognizes her, giving her the Class Protector Award. For once, she's seen, and it's not about glory, it's about validation. After years of carrying the weight of the world while everyone else just went to class, she finally gets acknowledged for the quiet hero that she is. So the prom's not about saving the world, it's about saving something smaller, but just as important. The idea that even when everything's ending, there's still joy worth fighting for. So, Buffy is seen part 2. Back in season 1, when we covered Out of Mind, Out of Sight, you know, the episode that deals with Cordelia as Buffy's shadow and like Marcy, as we've called back so much. I talked at the end of that episode, most of you will remember possibly, at the end of that episode, I talked about Buffy being seen because it stood out to me, and immediately I was already connecting it to here. The idea that even though nobody said anything out loud, that people were noticing her. They saw the weird moments. They clocked the weapons. Like, because in that specific episode, she drops her weapons in the floor and Cordelia's kind of like whatever about it. But Harmony's like, she's always in that creepy library, hanging with that creepy librarian. And they see her spill all these things. She tries to give an excuse and Cordelia's like, I don't care. Like, whatever. Out of sight, out of mind. They watch her show up in places that she shouldn't be and handle things that nobody else could. And it never got acknowledgement because nobody knew how to make sense of it. Buffy, meanwhile, always feeling isolated, she related to Marcy in that episode and her invisibility because she felt invisible in her own way, which is themes and metaphor roll out for that episode. She didn't always feel included either. She didn't always have like a chance to feel understood, and she never thought anyone at school fully grasped what she was carrying. Because remember that episode, like she had to watch Xander and Willow walk off and say they're going to his house for dinner, but she didn't get the invite. And now here we are at the prom, and this is the moment where all that pays off. Jonathan's speech is the emotional answer to that season 1 observation. He basically says, we might not have been close with you, we might not have said anything, but that doesn't mean that we didn't notice. When something went wrong, you were always the one who showed up. Most of us are here because of you, and now we want to thank you. And that's everything that Buffy thought that she wouldn't get, but did get. Recognition, appreciation, proof that she mattered, proof that she was not as unseen as she felt. The Class Protector Award is that full circle moment. Season 1, people see her but never say it, and by season 3, they finally say it out loud. And for Buffy, who has carried so much alone, that acknowledgement hits so much deeper than anything, and it's the show telling her and us that she was seen the whole time and confirms that every now and then, people surprise you. All right, Buffy fun facts. An unconfirmed rumor is that the winner of the Buffy Christmas sweepstakes, which we talked about, I think, with Sarah and Leia, like her name was Jessica Johnson and she was from Maryland. She appears in this episode in the crowd. This was like the contest that they did for the giveaway, and like she was able to appear in the background. I didn't clock it. I didn't see her. I don't know who she is, but she's in there somewhere apparently. Sarah Michelle Gellar listed this among her favorite episodes, saying, I love the prom. It stood for everything Buffy was about and the fact that she so badly wanted to be a part of the other kids' lives. Xander obviously refers to Tucker earlier when he's like Hellhound Razor, and that's obviously a play on the words Hellraiser, the movie franchise with Pinhead and all of that. All right, let's finish this up and get into our final slays.
Final slays.
Final slays, Class Protector. I only have 2 quotes, so I'm going to go first because usually I'll be like, what do you got for quotes this episode? I'm going to breeze by that because I'm sure you got 14. Better.
I don't.
Better not. Obviously the whole Class Protector Award, because duh. Like, iconic. But my one real quote that I really just wanted to jot down across the episode was Oz, whenever he's like, once again, the Hellmouth puts the special in special occasions. Very simple.
That is funny.
What are yours?
My first one was when Xander is talking to Anya, and she mentioned that she notices that Xander looks at her boobs, and he's like, when a guy does that, it just means his eyes are open. And then when Angel says to Joyce, I'm old enough to be her ancestor.
Oh, shit.
And then my last one is when someone randomly decides to yell out Snyder in the crowd at the prom for weird shit that happens at Sunnydale.
Yes, I really should have had that in there, but I saved it for you. That is the best. That is the absolute best. It's so fucking funny. That's perfect. That was probably Jack Mayhew that called out that. He's like, I am the class clown.
I know, right?
Xander flips him off. Well, who are we giving Shining Slayer to this episode?
Buffy, obviously.
I mean, can we give it to anyone else? No.
No.
It would be a grave mistake to do as such, because she clearly is awarded Shining Slayer along with this umbrella, and it literally says it, essentially. Like, it might as well say Buffy Summer Shining Slayer. So yeah.
Although we're changing it to this episode.
I should have told the story coming into this about how we were texting the pictures of Jonathan with the fucking face cleansing wipes and stuff this morning, and us at an extra.
When I was on my way
like
to Marshall's to get wipes.
Well, it makes no sense, but it was so funny. Like, I love how we made this episode a memory, regardless, all around all the other memories we already had. So stupid. Shining Slayerette, though, I did put Cordy for pointing out the demon's taste in formal wear, because she says it, and then she makes the pointed comment later. She's like, "Oh, are we all catching up now?" Like,
yeah,
good for you,
so
Cordelia.
True. Yeah.
Weekly Wiggins. Mine, this one doubles as like a quote for my Weekly Wigs and a quote, I guess. I don't know, the quoted Weekly Wigs. Anya, whenever she's like telling another story, and she's like, so then this one time a girl wished that her husband would cannibalize himself, and even I had a hard time watching that one, let me tell you. I'm like, and this is that breaking point for Xander, like with these stories. He's just like, I've had enough. And then my second up the Weekly Wiggins was the shock puppet of love.
Oh, those are good ones.
What were yours?
Mine kind of go hand in hand as the same thing, because I started to just put the hell hand, but then when we were talking earlier, I remembered how gross his eyes looked with the prongs, so I'm gonna give it to the prong opened eyes. Like, that's just down from the way it looks to also like that poor thing, you know, like that's gotta be the most uncomfortable shit. So
gotta get him some contact solution, some Visine.
When they broke out of the cage, do you think the prongs are still in their eyes?
I don't know. Maybe he took them out and set them on the counter before he left. He's like, let me put these there so he can find them for my brothers and sisters. He's like, Carrie, Jackie, and Xander are gonna need these.
I know, right?
All right, that Slade moment. You go first.
I gave mine to, and something you brought up earlier already, but when Buffy just like real quick and in a hurry Slade that. It was like the quickest 2K per sleigh we ever got, because she was not messing around in the sewer or whatever the fuck kind of shit they were in. But like you called out earlier, she's so irritated with what's happening in reality that she's not even like gonna spare the energy to fight this thing. She's just gonna like take it out quick. So that was my Slade moment.
Nice. Mine was Xander paying for Cordelia's dress.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I know.
Especially without any need for praise.
All right, now we get to the good stuff. Slayerette predictions. Next episodes, because obviously there are part 1 and part 2, are entitled Graduation Day.
I assume that will be graduating.
Yes. It's like, we already know what's happening on Graduation Day. We know the mayor is ascending, but like, do you have any thoughts on what is about to occur with this? Like how this kind of wraps up what we're going to see? And it's a 2-parter, so we're telling a big story here.
I mean, I don't have as many predictions as I would say concerns, because as I always say, nothing normal can be happening, especially if there's like a normal event to be foreseen, which Graduation Day is another rite of passage moment for high school students. So I assume that will be ruined. And of course, since we have the mayor's ascension to worry about on top of that, that will be brought into the storyline and hopefully be canceled by Buffy. That's how I'll put that.
Good. I'm going to feed out a little bit of a enticement for you. What do you think happens as we culminate with the story of Faith from this season?
Oh my god, I forgot Faith existed for a second. I have no idea what to think about Faith. I would think, well, I would hope that if the mayor in any way doesn't succeed in his ascension and has the ability to be exterminated from the entire show, that Faith would go with him. But I don't know. That's wishful thinking.
All right. We're going to leave it at that. We're not going to purse the issue. Purse, whatever. All right. So excited about this. Before we wrap up and head out of here, we did tell you at the beginning of the episode that we had an announcement, and I felt like this is really the perfect place to share it because Angel tells Buffy that things will change after graduation. And in that same spirit, things are going to be changing here too, but I guess in the best way. When we return after the season ends, we're not just going to be continuing Buffy, we're officially adding Angel the series to our coverage. This has always been a part of the plan for the podcast. We just waited for the story to reach this point because this is where the Buffyverse opens up and the two shows start to run side by side. And if Courtney, like I told her long ago, is going to go through Buffy, then she's got to watch Angel. It was almost not up for debate. I did ask you, thankfully, and be like, would you also watch Angel or be interested in going through that as well? And you're like, sure, why not? And I was like, all right. But I want you to be able to get the full story, connect both shows the way that they were meant to be experienced. Also, Angel adds so much to the world, and we want our listeners, obviously you guys, to follow the journey as well, the way it originally unfolded. So in that, we will be shifting our release schedule a bit whenever we have future episodes after season 3, obviously. Instead of a Buffy episode every Friday, we're going to follow the original WB pattern. And 1 week we'll do Buffy, then the next week we'll cover the next episode of Angel, alternating back and forth the way that the episodes aired and giving us 2 episodes of Buffy per month and 2 episodes of Angel per month in sync. Super excited to get to this next chapter. Like, covering both shows together feels like the right way to experience the Buffyverse, like I said, and it will mark a whole new era for the podcast as we kind of leap into that. And also we'll probably pull all our hair out, but I hope that you guys all come with us into this next adventure.
I'm excited just because, like you said, it just makes sense seemingly to follow the storyline on both ends. And obviously I want to know what happens with Angel now that he is a prominent part of my own journey watching Buffy. So just makes sense.
Yes. And now we don't have to watch this bullshit with him and Buffy anymore.
Yes, bye.
All right, great. Well, that brings us to the end of our discussion of the prom. Thank you guys for listening. Let us know, how do you feel about Buffy finally getting that moment just for her? Do you think Angel made the right decision by choosing to leave when the final battle ends? And how did you feel watching the class finally recognize Buffy as their protector? Did it hit you as hard as it did for me? And are you excited that we will be covering Angel when we gear up for next season? Either way, it's the end of the road and the pathway to a new beginning. So we'll meet you all back here next week as we head towards the big finale with Graduation Day Part 1.
We're not good friends. Most of us never found the time to get to know you. But that doesn't mean we haven't noticed you. We don't talk about it much, but it's no secret that Sunnydale High isn't really like other high schools. A lot of weird stuff happens here.
Zombie!
Hyena people!
Snyder!
But whenever there was a problem or something creepy happened, you seemed to show up and stop it. Most of the people here have been saved by you, or helped by you at one time or another. We're proud to say that the class of '99 has the lowest mortality rate of any graduating class in Sunnydale history. And we know at least part of that is because of you. So the senior class offers its thanks and gives you, this. It's from all of us, and it has written here, Buffy Summers, Class Protector.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Buffy on Revamped. Remember to join us next week for a new episode release as we continue our journey through Sunnydale. We also would like to hear from you, so share your thoughts. Discuss with us your perspectives on this or previous week's episodes by following us on Instagram and sending us a DM at revamped_rewatch podcast.
Or by emailing us at revampedrewatchpod@gmail.com. Additionally, we will be choosing one of your messages to shout out in an upcoming episode release. And if you happen to love abandoned places but prefer them vampire-free, check out Echoes of Elsewhere, an urban exploration podcast. where I interview urban explorers about the eerie spaces they uncover, anything from haunted schools, forgotten mansions, and tunnels that probably don't lead to the hellmouth. From history to mysteries, tips and tricks of the trade, I dive into all things urbex. Subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
Until next time, the Earth is definitely doomed. This podcast is dedicated to the Buffyverse, to its fans, and my sister, Tiffany Dawn Pearson.